him. And they find out that he's not the person that the media has depicted him to be.
Are you endorsing?
I support Donald Trump, and everybody knows that.
100%.
All right, Donna, we've got some questions for you.
Hi, Mr. Trump, you've done great things in your life, and I just wonder, how do I, as an average person, begin?
Well, first of all, never think of yourself as average. You started off with the wrong question because you're not average. You've got a lot going. I see you're smart. I see you're very beautiful.
I know Donald forever. I like Donald very much.
Wonderful guy. I mean,
he is.
And he's miscast by the media. You know that.
I like Donald. He's got an enormous ego, but he's a good guy. He's got a big heart, by the way. He's very good to people. He's very kind to people.
People don't know that.
You just have to get that word average out of your vocabulary, and you have to tell yourself that you're great, and you have to believe it. If you can say it and don't believe it, it doesn't matter.
A kid that worked in the back.
Right.
I said, well, hey, how is Donald Trump? This is before he ran. This is months ago. He goes, unbelievable. He would come back to the kitchen and give $100 to the staff.
Yeah.
He would give these guys quietly. Nobody would know about that.
The fact is, I go down the streets of New York, and the people that really like me are the taxi drivers and the workers, et cetera, et cetera.
Also, his children. I know his son, Eric. I've met him a couple of times. He's a great kid.
They're great kids.
They're great kids.
Yeah.
You know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Do you like him?
Yeah, I mean, he's real. That's all we need.
I like his ideas. Those are real letters. Those are not corporate letters. Those are not letters from Exxon.
These are handwritten.
Those are not letters from General Motors. Those are letters from people. You have to have heart. You have to take care of women's health issues. You have to take care of poor people that they're never going to have a shot. And you have to take care of African-American youth who have never been in a worse position than they are right now.
This sounds like political presidential talk to me, and I know people have talked to you about whether or not you want to run. Would you ever?
I just probably wouldn't do it, Oprah. I probably wouldn't, but I do get tired of seeing what's happening with this country. And if it got so bad, I would never want to rule it out totally.
I think Donald Trump, underneath it all, isn't just a business guy. I think he loves America. I really do. I think he cares.
This country has such potential. I love the country. I think we can make it better than ever before. We have to unleash it. People have lost their spirit.
Donald Trump represents truth, logic, and common sense.
His incentive and his self-interest is tied to the well-being of the country that he's supposed to represent.
They love me, I love them. And I'll tell you something, if I get the nomination, I'll win the Latino vote. I will win it, because I'm going to create jobs.
I'm Hispanic and I vote for Mr. Trump. We vote for Mr. Trump. Get behind the candidate, Mr. Donald Trump, that's going to do something for you. That's going to give you a handout instead of a handout, baby.
A lot of things that he said is true.
Wow.
The Mexican border. And,
you're Hispanic and you're saying that. Are you sure? Wow.
I know what Donald Trump is doing is representing the absolute heartbreak and anger and frustration at a government gone mad.
I guess I just wanted to find out if there was one thing that you wanted people to remember about Donald Trump. What is it?
Never, ever give up.
The power of positive thinking, and I think that's very much in Donald's makeup.
If I become president, I couldn't care less about my company. I want to use that same up here, whatever it may be, to make America rich again and to make America great again.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am officially running for President of the United States, and we are going to make our country great again.
Do not underestimate the power of Donald Trump, or you will be scratching your head wondering, how did he get the Republican nomination? And we will see the best debate in history. Hillary Rodham Clinton, Donald J. Trump.
We are here to stay. Donald Trump all the way.
Donald Trump has came up with some very strict immigration laws that would guarantee work in the African American community.
I hope he gets through with his intentions about building the wall.
Well, I just want to let everybody know that not all Latinos are blind.
He knows what money is, where it comes from, and how to make more of it, rather than redistributing other people's in exchange for their vote.
And the intensity with Trump is like nothing I've seen
since I was a little kid and Reagan was running. And they were saying this is America's last shot.
If we don't get it right this time, we're not going to have a country left, folks. We're not going to have a country.
Are we seriously trying to figure out whether or not Donald Trump would make a good president? The man has major skills that he can offer.
This country right now owes $19 trillion, and they need somebody like me to straighten out that mess.
Honestly, I really think voters and Americans are looking at this guy saying, it's refreshing to hear somebody not be a wuss, not be a politician, and really say what they think.
These aren't dumb people. These are American patriots, and they want this country turned around.
I don't want nuance. I want bold colors, red, white, and blue. America, I have seen in the last several decades, absolutely fray and decline. When I saw those guys on the boats, on their knees, I mean, that says a picture about America that I haven't seen ever before. Democrats, not one or two, but many, are voting for Donald Trump, as well as Republicans. I've seen this all over the place. So I think there's a big movement happening, and I got to say that, you know, we need him.
You know, this is a movement, folks. This is not like even maybe about me. I don't want it to be about me. This is about common sense. It's about doing the right thing. The silent majority is back, and we're going to take the country back.
I have a big heart. I'm going to take care of people. I'm going to make sure that this country comes first. We don't come first. We don't come 10th. We take care of everyone else but our own, and that's going to change.
We're going to become rich again. We're going to become safe again. And we're going to become strong again.
Nothing is wrong with us. We don't have to like illegal aliens. We don't have to. We're Americans. We want Americans first. Why can't we be first?
We are ready for a change. We are ready, and our troops deserve the best.
And in the Middle East, I guess we've spent $5 trillion. We could have rebuilt our bridges, our tunnels, our roads, our hospitals, our airports. We could have rebuilt our country. We could have rebuilt our military. We could have taken care of Social Security. We could have taken care of everything.
We are going to win so much. We're going to have win after win after win. You people are going to get sick and tired of winning. You're going to say, please, please, President Trump, we can't take this much victory. Please stop. We don't want any more wins. And I'm going to say to you, we're going to win. I don't care what you say. We're going to make our country great again. We're going to win. We're going to win. And we're going to win. We are going to make America great again.
First of all, I've come to know Donald Trump over the last few years. He is actually a very intelligent man who cares deeply about America. There are two different Donald Trumps. There's the one you see on the stage, and there's the one who's very cerebral, sits there and considers things very carefully. You can have a very good conversation with him. And that's the Donald Trump that you're going to start seeing more and more of right now.
From the Smyth Radio Studios, it's Carrie and Brian Smith. This is Smyth Radio. You can tweet at Smyth Radio, SMYTH Radio. And now, your host, Carrie and Brian Smith.
Oh, my goodness. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Your host, Brian Smith, and
Carrie Smith.
Giving you all late breaking news.
Sounds very quiet.
Of the last week. Letting you know how it went down, what's going on.
Do you have something to press there?
Oh, there
that
we go.
Would
how
help.
About that? Does that make a little bit of a difference? Fantastic, everybody. Welcome to Smyth Radio, Military Veteran Talk Radio.
Go, keep talking.
Military Veteran Talk Radio, giving you the live updates and the breaking news of last week, making sense of it all, wrapping it all up, exposing the fake news for what it really is, the Democrats and their destructive ways.
This thing's got its own.
Let me know when you're ready.
No, I got to get it. I had to dial this almost a quarter of a turn from what it was last week. I have no idea why.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'll put the ears back on. All right, we're good. All right, folks, if this is the first time you've been on the show, this is Military Veteran Talk Radio. Back in the 90s, I was in the Air Force, and back in the 90s, Carrie was in the Marine Corps. We're cousins, and we've been talking about politics for probably the last 15, 16, 17 years, and we go back and forth on a few different issues, but most of the issues we agree on. We started the show to document the demise of America, under Barack Hussein Obama, and shortly after that, when Donald Trump announced he was running for president, we got a little pep in our step and said, you know what, man, maybe this guy can really turn this thing around. And during the campaign, we said if he does at least 1% to 2% of what he promises, it's going to be more than any politician we've ever known in our entire lifetime. Promises made, promises kept. Donald Trump in 2 years has kept more promises than any damn politician I've ever known in my life.
So I got to ask you a real quick question.
Yes.
A little off topic here. Yep. Did you play around with this dial here?
Maybe a little bit.
Oh yeah, that made a huge difference. I had to jacked everything up.
Okay, you want me?
If you want to put it back, that'd be nice.
All right, there we go. How about that?
Much better.
Okay, all right, excellent. So,
all right.
Anywho,
sorry about that.
Today we're going to get into a bunch of different topics, and we've got a very, very special guest on, DeAnna Lorraine. She's written a book. She is an anti-feminist, which I thought was amazing. We saw her at the Phyllis Schlafly.
It looks like FLY is the last three letters, so.
Right.
I'm doing the same thing. I look at the word and I'm like, it ends with fly.
Right.
But it's actually Schlafly.
Right. So, folks, I don't know. If everything sounds right, give me a thumbs up, crush the heart, crush the share. If you're anywhere and you're watching this.
I mean, I can make it a lot louder, but if it goes into the red, it's probably going to start clipping.
Yeah, if you guys are listening to this anywhere around the horn, you can listen to this on iHeartRadio, YouTube, New Right Network on YouTube as well. You can also listen to this on Periscope and everywhere else. So check this out real quick. I'm going to go over some of the things that we're going to talk about today. And I'm not going to, folks, trust me, we are not going to make this show all about Brett Kavanaugh.
Because that was what we had to deal with all last week.
And the week
How do you not make the whole entire show about Brett Kavanaugh?
Last week and the week before.
Oh.
So when we bring our special guest on, DeAnna Lorraine, and you can get her on Twitter at DeAnna Lorraine 7. I'll post that up here real quick as soon as she comes on. But if we're going to talk about Brett Kavanaugh, we're going to talk about the womanizing, we're going to talk about the feminism, we're going to talk about some of these really hot button issues that are on. DeAnna she's a professional, I would say counselor, marriage counselor, love counselor. She's her books Make Love Great Again, So it's just all about exposing the fake news for what it is. And I'm telling you, folks, it is on display here with the Brett Kavanaugh hearing. If you didn't watch Saturday Night Live, I actually was thumbing through the channels, and I ran across it in the hotel last night. And I was disgusted. I was throwing up in my mouth. And so I diverted. I said, no, I'm moving on. It became a hot button topic, and I did not catch Kanye West, but I do have a clip of him. Kanye West speaking truth to power, folks. A black man in America speaking truth to power, and the left is in a vicious hate mode showing their racism. Flat out. If you just hating somebody because they align themselves with Donald Trump and they're black, You just, come on, man. Really? Where are we going with this? So we're going to get into that. We'll talk about that a little bit. We'll get into some of the nuances. We'll get into the doxing that happened this weekend. The doxing from the Democrat Party. Folks, it's bad. It's real bad. And then I'm going to make you real happy. We're going to talk about the great things that have been happening in the past week with Donald Trump's economy. If you're watching TV all week in the news, that's all you know is Brett Kavanaugh. You don't know nothing else.
Right.
I've got news. Folks, Donald Trump has been jet-setting around the world with world leaders making world peace. Donald Trump making the world great again. And so nobody wants to talk about that, but we will talk about that here on Smyth Radio. And then earlier this week, the fourth video of James O'Keefe exposing the deep state. He gets the IRS, folks, under Barack Hussein Obama. And this is one of Kerry's real hot buttons. I mean, it was both of our hot buttons, but I know Kerry talk about it a lot and bring it back up again and again. The IRS scandal that Barack Obama was embroiled in.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Well, the thing is, a lot of people, I'm not trying to call out any names because it doesn't matter to me. I'm so happy that everybody's here, either watching this or involved in politics, supporting Donald Trump, getting out and voting for the first time in their life. But Brian and I have been doing this since 2014, and we decided to do it finally after years and years of talking politics and realizing we need to just get a microphone in front of us and have other people hear it too. And, you know, the thing that really just threw me into a tizzy is the IRS scandal. I don't know why. Maybe it was because the media just tried to put cold water on it and put that fire out and prevent people who were not as engaged as we were from finding out about it. And by the way, this had happened after they had destroyed the Tea Party. Had the Tea Party been at their peak when the IRS scandal happened, I think we would have probably even gotten impeachment. And by the way, impeachment is if there's any president that I can ever think of in my lifetime that was more deserving of impeachment, even more so than Bill Clinton, even more so than Richard Nixon, it was Barack Obama with the IRS scandal. That was totally an impeachable offense. Not only is he in charge of the executive branch, which was the perpetrator of such abuse of power, but it was pretty clear that this would have been something that not only would he have ordered and encouraged, but also was a part of the cover-up and nothing to see here. And he didn't do anything to punish the people who were perpetrators of this. So that's my spiel on the IRS scandal. And I think that, that since then we've had so much more abuse of power. And I truly believe that the executive branch agencies that are behind their own individual abuses of power, thanks to Barack Obama's deep state, would have never happened had the IRS not gotten away with such egregious abuse of power and abuse of its citizens, using the government to break all kinds of constitutional amendments. Our rights have been violated by these agencies. And in the past, this would have been instantly people in jail. There would have been firings. There would have been jail time. And if there was any chance that this could be connected to the President of the United States, immediate impeachment. It would have been hands down, no question. It would have been we got to do what we got to do, and impeachment would have happened. And because of all that being swept under the rug, we end up with all the additional abuses of power. A lot of times you got to ask yourself, that's
me, sorry.
What'd you do?
I just move around. Sorry about that.
I know, but I'm totally I can't hear myself. Oh, you ripped my... Okay, so we're good. He just has to plug me back in here. So anyway, you got to think about if we let people get away with things that they should be punished for severely. I'm talking firings at the minimum. But then after investigations have found guilty, thrown in jail, you let people get away with not being properly punished for these things. You have to think about, where does this lead us? Where does it... What will somebody think they can get away with in the future because we let them get away with it in the past? And that even goes for things that aren't even illegal, like being called a racist. if you get called
or a rapist,
a racist, or a Nazi, or any of the KKK member, any of that, if you let people falsely accuse you and just kind of go away and let it affect you and give them a positive result, what do you think that's going to do in the future? Well, I know there's a lot of people that are against the whole Roy Moore thing, but I'm telling you, you can draw a straight line from the way we reacted to the Roy Moore thing by just handing everything over to the Democrats. And I'm sorry, if you're from Alabama, I got to give you a lot of blame on this.
Yeah, 100%. You are to blame on the Roy Moore thing for buying into it, for walking away and not voting, for not getting out to vote. Folks, right now, this whole thing blowing up with Brett Kavanaugh is blowing up, and it's energizing the Democrat base. Now, on the flip side, it is also energizing the Republican base as well. However, we cannot allow these for lack of better terms, these SOBs, I don't know what the word is, these wretched, awful, evil perpetrators in the Democrat Party that are absolutely out for nothing but total control and total power, and they will destroy. They will seek and destroy. They will win by hook or by crook, lie, cheat, steal, whatever it takes.
Well, you use the word evil, and I know that Brett Kavanaugh took offense to being called evil. So I just, I had to think about that a little bit. Is that okay to call them evil? And here's Brett Kavanaugh saying, why would they call me evil? Evil, they use the word evil. Think about that. Let that sink in, And I'm sitting here thinking, gosh, are we hypocritical by doing the same thing? However, where do these words like evil come from? We can go to the 10 Commandments and talk about bearing false witness.
Absolutely.
Can you speak on a little bit of this bearing false? Yeah. If you go out there and say that you know something, or you saw something, or you believe something that has no evidence whatsoever, no evidence, you're going to assume somebody's guilty without any evidence instead of assuming innocence until they're proven guilty. Or not only that, go out there and say that this man has done something sexual to me, or they abused me, or whatever, when you're doing it in order to destroy him because you don't want a Republican or
right, you do it for political reasons. You're doing this for political reasons. Nobody sorry, let me take that back. The man involved did not do what you're claiming he did. That's first and foremost. Secondly, if this did happen, which it very well could have happened, you putting that on someone else, if you've got a mental disability, if something's triggered in your mind and you can't control it, that's one thing. But if you're doing this absolutely vindictively on purpose to somebody else knowingly, that is pure, unadulterated evil.
Yeah, because you're bearing false witness, and we know.
His daughters have to listen to the wretched, awful stories. I can't even imagine if my daughters had to listen to the things that you guys are saying about an individual. Make this about the merits of this man and not some hearsay from 36 years ago. That's my problem. And the Republicans, I know Tucker Carlson went off and crushed you guys this week. Got a little upset because he's blaming you for allowing this to go down. Grassley, you're orchestrating the thing and you're allowing yourselves to be run over. You're going to have to stand up. You're going to have to get as tough as Donald Trump, as strong as Donald Trump. You're going to have to stand up because this is, imagine, we were talking about this in the car on the way back from Dayton today. Imagine what happens next when RGB, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, walks away from something, God forbid, I do not wish harm upon anyone.
Any of the justices,
anybody.
I mean, nobody knew Scalia was going to die. He died.
Well.
I mean, you just never know.
We hope nobody knew.
You hit 50, and just anything could happen at any time.
Right. So RGB, she's up there in age. She's really starting to lose it a little bit mentally and her capacity, her faculties. So if she steps aside during the next 6 years and Donald Trump gets another appointee, you think this one was bad? What were your thoughts on that for a liberal Democrat?
So I want everybody to listen to this very carefully because this will absolutely come true. I don't know what's wrong with our volumes here.
I'm good.
This will absolutely come true. 100%. Take this to the bank. Know it. Be ready for it. It's going to happen. There is no assignments to these seats in the Supreme Court. They are all just filled by whoever the president is upon advice and consent of the Senate, and that's it. That is the Constitution.
It's not like at work where you all have your own favorite parking spot in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And somebody new gets hired.
Okay.
And parks in your spot that you've been parking in for the last 5 years.
Right.
And you get triggered. That's not what this is about.
Right. It's the will of the people. If the will of the people is to have a Donald Trump as a president and to have a majority Republicans in the Senate, or the vice versa. It could be Obama was president and he had a majority in the Senate for a little while there until 2014. But listen very carefully, because this is absolutely going to happen. If Ruth Bader Ginsburg's seat opens up,
which it will eventually.
Eventually, but if it
might be sooner than later.
If it opens up while Trump or a Republican is president, the left, the mainstream media, all elected Democrats, deep state, and all the Democrat voters out there, all the citizens of the nation, are all going to try to say the same falsehood, and that is this: Ruth Bader Ginsburg is a far left liberal who just vacated her seat. Okay, it must be filled with a far left liberal. Or at least somebody that's extremely moderate, maybe even left-leaning, that maybe Trump can find somewhere in New York City. They're going to say it's not fair that when a vacancy opens up by a far-left liberal, that it would be filled by anything other than a far-left liberal. That is an absolute fallacy, and they are going to push that so hard you won't believe it. They're going to make you believe, or try to make you believe, that it would be incredibly unfair for a far left liberal justice vacancy to be filled with anything other than a far left liberal. And that's going to be their justification for blocking it or attempting to block it. The truth of the matter is if we have a majority in the Senate and we have a president representing us that we elected, which would be the Republicans, we choose who goes there, and it could be whoever the hell they want. And as long as the Senate gives the blessing, then there you go. And here's what we got to worry about. Trump's going to pick somebody from his list, period.
Yeah. Well,
here's what we got to worry about.
He kept his promises.
Let's say we have a 51-49 advantage in the Senate. There's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe a whole bunch, maybe a dozen Republican senators who may buy into this. They may buy into it like, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she's so far left, and that's their seat. That's the Democrat seat. That's the communist seat. That's Karl Marx's legacy.
We got to play ball because, I did get some money on the back end from somebody that knows her.
We need to tell our senators, do not fall for this. Because I know that you guys listening are going to be like, wow, Carrie, I didn't think about that, but I totally buy that, what Carrie's saying. I'm going to be ready for it. I'm going to be ready. But okay, you're ready for it, but is your senator ready for it? You got to make sure that your senator's ready for it. Let them know beforehand. Say, hey, listen, I don't know when it may happen. It may happen at any time. It may not happen for another 20 years. Can you imagine?
20 years? She'll be 120.
Something like that. Yeah, so, but whenever it happens, and it may not even be Ginsburg. It might be some other lefty on the justice. But here's the thing. It's my opinion that nobody that behaves and believes and makes judgments like Ruth Bader Ginsburg should ever be a part of the Supreme Court.
Think about that, folks. She rewrites law, rewrites definitions for words. This is not the job of the justice. No, and by the way, something I was thinking about when you were just talking, message to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Bernie Sanders, Hillary Clinton, George Soros, and the left. Those of you who cried and have not walked away yet, just a heads up. This is not your country. This is our country, as founded by the founding fathers. This is not a socialist. This is not a communist. This is not the founding of your ideologies and Karl Marx. I am not sorry either that you are upset and triggered and you feel that you should have the ability to take this country away from us, that you feel it's unfair that we dominate the Supreme Court with our justices that are constitutionalists, that will adhere to the Constitution and the founding ideologies of the founding fathers. Folks, that's plain and simple. We came out in droves and voted for Donald Trump. We, the people, voted for Donald Trump to do exactly what he's doing right now, which is fixing our government, fixing our country, fixing everything.
But Brian, a majority voted for Hillary Clinton. To
do what?
She had 3 million more votes than Donald Trump.
Well, we now find out that that's a cheat.
Well, it may be a cheat, but forget that. There's a reason why our founders set up our election process for president with the Electoral College.
Sorry. Yeah, because now Hillary is saying we need to abolish the Electoral College.
Of course she would say that.
Yeah, she's saying that the past few weeks.
Every liberal's saying that because they want to do something that makes our self-government, our genius Constitution. It's a work of it's divine intervention.
It has been blessed by God Almighty.
Right. And they want to get rid of that because it prevents them from being the totalitarian Marxists that they want this country to be. But here's what you need to say when somebody says, yeah, well, Trump didn't get the majority. He lost by 3 million votes. This is what you say. We have 50 states. Donald Trump won the majority vote in 30 out of those 50 states. Hillary Clinton only won the majority of 20 states. Donald Trump won a majority vote of 30 states. That's why Donald Trump won. It's as simple as that.
Right. And it's a big deal, folks. I mean, we're starting to see everything coming out. Like I said earlier, just opening up the show, we're going to be talking about James O'Keefe with his new video out. It's the video number 4 that he's dropped. It's a huge bombshell video where he actually gets on camera IRS personnel speaking about the Lois Lerner emails.
They all should be in prison. They should be making large boulders into small rocks and small rocks into gravel.
Right, because if this is what you have to do by lying, cheating, and stealing, this is what you have to do to overthrow. You're an unelected individual working for the government. And you're attempting to overthrow the will of the people. Sedition.
Yeah, absolutely. They should be charged with that in particular. I'm telling you. Yeah. That's why, back in 2014 when all this stuff was going down, I was screaming for Obama's impeachment. And one of the main reasons why he did this, why he did things that a normal American would think is impeachable, is because our Speaker of the House said impeachment's off the table.
Yeah, that was John Boehner back in the day.
John Boehner, when he said impeachment's off the table, which you got to realize, Civics 101 right here. We've had these arguments. Actually, the left has tried to make these arguments. The president is really close to being above the law. Really close. But what keeps him on the up and up? At any time, the House could file articles of impeachment, impeach the president, and then the Senate could actually oust him from the presidency. That is the thing that keeps him from being totally above the law. He could be thrown out by Congress. That's our system of checks and balances. When Boehner came out and said, no. I think that's how he talks, right?
Yeah, when he's got a mouthful of whiskey.
Yes. Gosh, he's such a drunk. Anyway, no, when he said impeachment's off the table, the loose translation to that is we're going to allow the president to be totally above the law. We're going to have to flip-flop. We're going to have to go back on our word that impeachment's off the table. We're going to have to go back on that word, and we don't want to do that in order to keep him accountable. So he's not, and he's above the law. If you are the president of the United States and you've been told impeachment's off the table, you are above the law. Now, you may not practice above the law, But we know that Obama did with the IRS scandal, and that's just one.
That's just minimal. Yeah,
Fast and Furious. I mean, you name it. There's all kinds of stuff that just put him totally above the law.
And the Russiagate takes the cake of all of them. And again, like I said, there's some new evidence that's coming out this week that we'll talk about. We'll get into that. Having to do with the whole Rod Rosenstein quitting, not quitting, what's going on with that, what's the relationship between him and Trump. I'm telling you, folks, Donald Trump is doing everything he possibly can to drain the deep state, to figure out who's in and who's not in, who's the bad actors, who's not the bad actors. Because think about this. What if he fired somebody or got rid of somebody that was not a bad actor, but he was convinced by other people that this individual was a bad actor? That's not how leaders act or behave. They have to have hardcore evidence to actually execute that maneuver. And we've talked about Rod Rosenstein many, many, many times, and the stories behind him. And Donald Trump is now, it's all coming to light to Trump. Trump, obviously, as you know, social media advocate. He's in it. He knows it. He sees it. Retweeted James. Folks, John Jr. retweeted James O'Keefe and the videos exposing these bad actors, these deep state actors in the government. Trump retweeted his son's tweet of James O'Keefe. Folks, he's plugged in. He knows what is going on and what is real. So while Donald Trump does what he has to do at the top and at the higher parts, we as supporters down here at the bottom, we do everything we possibly can to help Donald Trump make America great again. Just like I've said many, many times, and Kerry agrees with these sentiments, that we are Donald Trump's legacy. When Donald Trump is gone from office, which is going to happen, and it makes me so sad to even have to say that.
I'm thinking about it. I mean, it's an inevitability because of the way our government is.
Right. You got to prepare yourself for that. With that being said, we've got to carry on this legacy. We cannot allow this to fall down the rabbit hole of the globalist and allow the George Bush of the worlds to take over, and then George Bush handed over to Barack Obama. Either Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama, they didn't care because they're all part of the same cabal, the Uniparty.
Yep.
And then Obama agreeing 100%. Yeah, you know what? I won't do the 25th Amendment. I won't remove the 25th Amendment and stay because you know he won. You know, the problem is, Kerry, is that I'm president of the United States, not the emperor.
Yeah, the problem is I'm not a dictator or whatever.
Yeah, I need to be. The problem is I'm president, but I wish I was emperor. So he didn't do that because he took the page from the playbook and they get a little bug in his ear and said, "Hey, Obama, what you gonna have to do? You're gonna have to back off. Gotta give the fair. It's gotta be fair. We gotta give Hillary a run at raping America. Okay, you raped it for 8 years. Gotta let Hillary rape it." And he said, "Oh, all right, okay, I'll turn it over." And that was the biggest mistake they ever did.
I think the reason why he was so well behaved in his last year was because they had convinced him that Hillary was going to take over.
Right.
So. No.
Oh, man, that's unfortunate.
What? Oh, man. In my car.
All right, never mind. Oh. We're talking about our guest, DeAnna Lorraine.
Oh, there you go. You got
DeAnna Lorraine. I don't know if... Give her a heads up. We're scheduled for 5:30, but maybe we'll slide a little bit later on. But that's okay. That's okay. We'll get into some of the hot button topics that we're talking about, all these things that we're talking about, making America great again. And
don't you have to send her an invite?
Oh, she's already on. She's just got to show up. She's already in the meeting.
Oh,
yeah. We did a sound test a little earlier.
Would she go to the grocery store or something?
Oh, maybe. she pulled a George Norrie.
Oh, no. We got an inside joke going there with George Norrie. Oh, my goodness. It's hilarious. By the way, we had that verified by one of the producers of a major radio station here in Cincinnati.
Yes, so if you guys ever know, just
coast
like
to coast, right?
Coast to coast with George Norrie, just like Alex Jones. Alex Jones is kind of one of those people that aren't around anymore. George Norrie is still around, but I don't know. I don't know how much longer. Anyways, he gets guests. He talks in the middle of the night. And
it's not guests. It's call-ins.
Call-ins.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I got tripped up. So his call-ins on his show talking about aliens and Area 51 and the number 8. If you inscribe the number 8 on anything like your driver's license on the back, like put a sticker of the number 8 or something about the number 8 attracts money.
Really?
This is according to George Norrie.
Oh, he said that. Okay.
So he had a caller who called in.
Yeah.
And said he knew all about this. And so he started talking about how special the number 8 is. And it has to do with infinity and beyond and godlike powers and all this and all this. The guy's talking for 10, 15 minutes.
Okay.
And you don't hear a word. I literally tuned in and I thought that George Norrie had a guest host.
Right, because he was going on and on for like 15 minutes.
Right, and that George Norrie was out of town.
Okay.
But he was out of town.
He may have actually been out of town.
So all of a sudden it comes out that he said, George, you there, George? And you hear, yeah, I'm here. Yeah. Keep going. Yeah, that sounds great. Fantastic.
Yeah, I heard the exact same thing on something totally unrelated. He does it all the time.
So we were in talks with a producer of a major radio station, and we were joking. We just started joking about George Norrie like we do. Folks, if you hang out with us, like out in Dayton, it was a great time. The Midwest MAGA meetup. Thanks for everybody for coming out. It was a blast. Had a lot of fun. But if you got to hang out with us, you would see people laugh. I don't know, just our interaction. They just laugh. This is what we do.
Right. Don't get us going.
Nothing special.
Don't get us going.
So Katya Lee, if you guys want to follow Katya Lee at Crazy About Trump. See, I got it right this time.
About, yeah. No, when you said the other one, which we're not going to mention because...
No, they don't need no.
I thought you had it right, and I was like, let me look it up. Something's wrong here. And then I saw that it's Crazy About Trump.
Yeah, so our good friend, Katya Lee, at Crazy About Trump, hanging out with her and her husband last night. It was fantastic. Great time in the Midwest MAGA meetup. We're also going to be in D.C. for the American Priorities Convention. Jack Posobiec slated to be there. Mike Cernovich slated to be there. We are slated to be there, as well as Katya Lee said that last night and this morning that she will probably be there.
Really? Okay.
Well, I mean, she was hinting.
It's going to be tough because it's coming up. It's in 2 months.
Right. It's in 2 months, so we're working on it feverishly. We have a not a GoFund. Yeah, it's a GoFundMe thing. I don't know how you get to it. Oh, man, I'm thinking about it right now.
Getting to where?
The GoFundMe thing. All right, go to smithradio.com. I'll put the button on the top of the website.
I didn't know. I didn't know what name you put for the GoFundMe.
I don't either. But if you want, folks, if you like the show and you like what you hear, share it with your friends and your family. The show will be live. I'm trying to do it every Monday night on Facebook. Been having a couple of things that come up on Monday, so we've been doing it on Tuesday. But we do it on Facebook. If you see it and you've already seen the show, please share and like it on Facebook as well. Right. Go to our website, smithradio.com. Hit the Patreon button. $1 will get you in the private message meetup group.
It's a good value because it's like it's like having a MAGA meetup group every single day, including sometimes in the middle of the night. I would say at least 50% of the time you could just like be having insomnia and and end up having, hey, let's go to the MAGA meetup party.
Well, you might have somebody in a different time zone that's
right.
on your, like when I get up early in the morning for work, I've got folks that are insomniacs that are still up at 3 in the morning. It's rare, but sometimes it happens. But if you're up at midnight, 1, 2 in the morning, there's a very, very good possibility that either Carrie or I will be on or somebody else in the group. There are that many people. So that's a lot of fun. Great times. Just jump over there to patreon.com/Smith Radio or just go to the website. And if you ever want to direct anybody to check out the show and you're like, hey, man, you got to listen to these guys. They're crazy awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Go to smithradio.com. Just check it out there or iHeart.smithradio.com. That'll take you to iHeartRadio. Listen to it audio during the week. With that being said, let's get into something positive real quick before we hit all the negative stuff. All the bad stuff. Well, let's do this. I'll tell you what. Let's break right now. 5:40. We're up against a hard break, Carrie. We're going to break for station identification. We're actually going to break for the hashtag walk away campaign, the hashtag walk away movement, folks. If you don't know, last week we had Brandon Strucka on the show, and he's doing a hashtag walk away movement, really walking on D.C. at the end of this month, tomorrow's October 1st, at the end of October 26th and 27th in Washington, D.C. So if you're in or around D.C., you've got to be there, be square. We are working on getting there. I promise, Brandon, we are feverishly working there. I just might have the funds to do it, Kerry.
Cool.
If you feel like
the thing that makes it so tough is that we have to be there in December.
Yeah, and then we got to go back, flip back around, be back in December. It's an 8-hour drive one way, and we're not complaining. Not complaining.
The thing of us going in December has already been a done deal. So being invited to come in the end of October, we're very, very honored and thrilled and all this kind of stuff. But oh my gosh, this really puts us in a bind. So if you live in D.C. and would like to see us there and get there,
if you got a pad for us to crash on, I mean, I'm up for that.
Somebody give us a little piece of floor. I'll put a pillow on the floor. We're good to go.
Don't even need carpet.
The tile. Give us a piece of tile.
Straighten out
in the mud room, right next to the dog in the cage, all that good stuff. Right. So, hey, when you're a wrestling coach and you travel around to these tournaments, sometimes you get real primitive just to because it's expensive.
What kind of accommodations do you need, Kerry? Do you require?
Meager.
We require meager accommodations,
That's
folks.
Right.
So real quick, this is Brandon Strucka. This is his video, hashtag walk away, advertisement for the upcoming event in October.
Dear America, it's time. On May 26th of this year, I released a video explaining all of the reasons why I was walking away from liberalism and the Democratic Party, and I launched the Walk Away campaign. By the thousands, patriots from all over America joined the campaign and created their own testimonials, explaining why they too were walking away or walking with. Americans from all different backgrounds, beliefs, and walks of life came together in unity, in support, and in patriotism. We found civility again. We reclaimed our common humanity. We rediscovered hope. I watched with immeasurable pride as Americans who had sat by silently for so long began to find their voice, to speak their truth, and to push back against hate with love. But then something began to happen. The liberal media tried to steal the voices of Americans once again. Russian propaganda, Russian bots, paid actors, fake people, fake pictures, fake testimonials. They've attacked you, lied about you, and they've tried to silence you. Well, it's time for the silent majority to become unsilent. I am officially announcing the Walkaway March on Washington. On October 27th, 1 week before the midterm elections, Americans are coming together in our nation's capital to walk away from the Democratic Party. We are walking away from the lies, the hate, the violence, and vandalism. We are walking away from the vitriol, the name-calling, the censorship, the fake news. We are walking away from the phony and crooked investigations, the divisiveness, the race baiting. We are walking away from the attacks on our America. It is time to fight back with the greatest weapon at our disposal, the truth. It's time to take America back. We walked away alone, but now we march together.
Hashtag walk away. March. Walkawaymarch.com, October 26th through the 28th. Hashtag walkaway.com, walkawaymarch.com. Go to the website, you can check it out as well, and then be there in D.C. at the end of October 26th. We are doing everything we can do to get there. It's a very good possibility we will have the ability to be there.
I'm excited. I really hope so. I mean, we'll definitely be there first and second week of December. What, 6, 7, and 8?
Yep, 6, 7, and 8. I mean, there's a very good possibility I have the ability to get there.
Okay.
And we do have the GoFundMe thing that I'm going to put up on the website, and I apologize for that. That's just unacceptable, Brian. Anyways, bashing the producer.
All right.
Man, what do we? I'm waiting for for our special guest, but let me just let's get into some good news, like I was saying before, real quick. Remember how during Barack Obama, the GDP growth was anemic? Even that, the GDP growth was anemic, and always was revised down afterwards. Under Donald Trump, has always been revised up. We'll get to that in a minute because I believe Mr. Producer's telling me we've got our special guest on.
Awesome.
DeAnna Lorraine. I'm going to play a montage clip. This is awesome. I found this on YouTube. I kind of put it together, clipped it out. So this is a montage clip of DeAnna Lorraine on various news stations and, debating back and forth, going back and forth with other lefties. So this is our guest that's coming on here in just a minute.
I think that is a rift away because people are tired of all the anti-Trump sentiment. I mean, that's really all the Dems have is anti-Trump, resist. And people are tired of resisting. They just want a country that's strong. We want strong families. We want a strong country. We want to be prideful of our country. And we're just not getting that from the Dems. She really thinks that middle America is stupid and weak women, which is so insulting, sexist, and racist, by the way. She's the epitome of that. If this isn't the biggest piece of evidence that college education, quote unquote, is no longer education, this is full-blown indoctrination. They're indoctrination machines, and very expensive ones at that. There's been a war on masculinity since the 1960s, and masculinity has been really on the decline. It's been on the attack. And what we've done is we've exalted women with women's rights and feminism, which has been great for women, but on the downside, we've been disempowering men. He could cure AIDS, and they still would attack him. I mean, they're overplaying their hand, the media. So no matter what Trump does, they'll hate him for it, and I don't blame him for just snapping every once in a while, because I think that he is human. He doesn't act like a typical politician, and this is something that a lot of people love about him. We were sick of polished politician, and that's why people elected him.
So that is DeAnna Lorraine. Absolutely gets me fired up. DeAnna has a book out called Make Love Great Again, which is awesome, awesome, awesome. So without any further ado, DeAnna, welcome to the show, Smyth Radio.
Yay, thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. You want to talk about...
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you good. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. I can see you. Hopefully you can hear and see me.
Yes. Tilt your screen to get the headroom
a little bit higher.
Bit higher.
Like that?
Yeah, that's
there
perfect.
We go.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So you have a book out called Make Love Great Again. You want to talk about that real quick?
Sure, absolutely. It is a book called Making Love Great Again. And what the gist of it is that I realized that the state of our America is directly correlated to the state of our relationships and even dating and the family unit. And the decline of America and the decline of our relationships have been directly intertwined. And the root of that is liberalism. Liberal values, if you can call them values, have replaced our traditional conservative American values. And it's no surprise that the last 60 years we've seen this destruction of America and also the destruction of the family unit, of the male and female relationship, and even for those who are single, dating and romance has died. So how do we cure the state of America, and how do we cure relationships between men and women? We got to do away with liberal values and progressiveness, because it's killing America.
Wow.
It's killing America.
You get me all fired up.
It's creating weekend little soy boys. And we need to get back to our roots, right? Our roots are traditional American values.
Can you be a little bit more specific? Like, what could I expect in the difference between dating a female conservative and a female liberal?
Oh my God.
I've actually dated both, and I could attest to. But anyway, go ahead.
Well, for one, most conservatives aren't land whales with blue hair and red armpit hair. They actually take care of themselves typically. They like men. They love men typically and appreciate men. And most feminists are especially like these crazy liberal feminists. They don't like men, and they even don't like themselves. They don't like femininity. They think femininity and beauty for a woman is somehow supporting this patriarchy. So if you want to date a crazy liberal feminist, great, but good luck with that. You're not going to, and I hope this is the PC free zone, by the way. I think it is.
It's PC free.
So.
We're good with PC free. I think the only thing with Brandon Struck.
So you can't, even though I get called a misogynist all the time for having these views, I'm at least a woman, so I hopefully can take the thoughts out of a lot of your guys' minds when I say that I believe a lot of conservative women have a much better heart, and they sincerely believe in relationships and families and God and the values that actually make relationships and marriages work.
My wife was born and raised in South Central LA, and I moved out to LA, and that's where I met her, and we've come back to Cincinnati to raise our family. But she was a full-blown liberal. There's no question about it, and it was because of where she was raised at, her family, the things that she had heard in school. And we've been married 12 years this year, been together 13. And
congratulations.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. And I'm going to tell you, she turned the corner after our first child, our second child, and then the boy. But she really started to turn the corner, and it was Dr. Laura's book, Proper Care and Feeding of a Husband. Which seems on the surface, it seems kind of sexist, awful. But she read it and she told me, she said, you know what? It resonated with me. Men are not difficult. We are not complex creatures. Women tend to be a little bit more complex and a little bit more difficult. We're very simple. Just love us, feed us, water us.
So it's interesting. Everything that you're saying here, Brian, I'd like to see what DeAnna thought of like the role, the gender roles. Oh, we lose.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to bring my book.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, absolutely. Making Love Great Again. That's what the book looks like.
Making Love Great Again.
Oh, and you got the vintage picture with the sailor, probably right
you
up
got to
there.
have that picture. Is so iconic, and because it epitomizes what relationships and romance used to be, what they should be. A man is masculine, a woman's feminine. And,
so you agree with the differences in gender roles in general?
Hell yes.
So you think that a problem with like dating a liberal woman would be that she feels like she should be doing things that maybe the man should be doing, and that the man should be doing some of the things that women doing, and it just kind of creates a incohesive situation. I'm just kind of yeah.
Because it's we have a team. It's teamwork. If you are two leaders that are trying to be in charge of the exact same thing, you don't have synergy. You don't have a team. But the whole purpose of a team is you do different jobs, but it makes the entire team work. And women are saying that they've forgotten the idea of teamwork, and they should be doing exactly the same role as men, and they. In turn, they don't see gender roles and they don't see gender differences, or they want to just deny basic science and gender differences. And it's what our differences are that I think make it so beautiful and make relationships so powerful and magical. I don't want to be exactly like a man, and I don't want him to be exactly like me. That difference is that's where that magic comes in.
Absolutely. And my wife is a Christian. She was raised in the church. I was raised in the church, and in my 20s, I kind of fell away from it. But when I met her in my early 30s, I just went back to church. It's just what guys do. If they like a woman, they'll pretty much do just about whatever it takes. And so I got back to my roots, who I really was. And my wife has become who she really is inside. On the surface, before, it was the feminism. It was the I'm not sure she was ever I don't need a man type of thing, but that feminism, that I can do this, I can do this alone, I don't need that, or whatever it might be, to now, her and I talk about this all the time. She is a phenomenal rock for our family, and she maintains the house, the kids, she homeschools, she's doing all kinds of activities outside of the house, getting us to church, getting things done. While sometimes I feel a little bit guilty because I love my job too much, but I just work. I work, and when we produce, and we got the cars, we got the house, and we got the show, and she's accepted it, I've accepted it, and we actually love it because we do it together.
Exactly. And, you can shift roles at some point, or there's some overlapping roles. It doesn't need to be so cut and dry. But absolutely, I believe that there's certain things that women tend to be stronger at and better at. And there's definitely things that I think men are more designed for. to be better at. And we work together and figure those out as a team. But if you're competing for the same role, the same exact role, then it becomes a competition instead of a cooperative, synergistic relationship.
There's a guy.
So I think that it's time to get back to that.
Yeah, there's a guy, the young kid. He's 30. He just turned 30. So happy birthday, millennial. I call him my millennial. And for those of you who listen to the show,
he's become the star of the show.
He's become famous on the show. But it's just him and I that work together. And over the past year, I've seen him evolve and change into the person that he really truly is. He hasn't changed into something he's not. But his wife wants that role that he should be assuming. And there was some strife. There was some rubbing back and forth, and having a little bit of tough times, and just talking to him and working with him. And I tell you, he's really stepped up to be that man of the house. And it empowers him more. It makes him feel better. The level of confidence is higher than it was before. Just be that guy. Be that man, not the double soy latte.
Right? Yeah. And guys tend to, I've seen it in my own, because I was originally started as a relationship coach. I know I seem young, but it's like something, my parents were divorced. And so for me, I was always trying to kind of save the world and heal the world with relationships and love. So when I got out of college, very shortly after, I became a relationship coach, hung up my shingle, and started working with singles and couples. And I can tell you firsthand that these guys that are soy boys, they are often not happy inside. And
right.
they are a lot of them are lost. They don't have a clear purpose. They're losing direction. Many guys right now are hooked on porn and video games, and they feel disempowered. And then when they finally associate more with their masculinity, and they embrace it more, and they really own their relationship with their own masculinity and their confidence around it, they finally start feeling like they have a purpose and develop their leadership more and really shine and thrive more. They feel happier and more fulfilled in every aspect of their life.
I'm not sure which commentator. Right. No, absolutely. I'm not sure exactly. I might have been Tucker Carlson, but there was a commentator that was talking about some of these young guys that mass shootings or setting off bombs or things like that, killings. It almost attracts them because it gives them a purpose, in a sense, because they have no direction. They have no purpose, coddled and taken care of. And a term I've just learned this past couple of weeks is not helicopter parents anymore. They're referred to as lawnmower parents.
Oh, yeah.
And a lawnmower parent will mow, or mower parents will mow everything down in front of their kids so they don't have to face adversity in any form or fashion.
It's like curling when they sweep the the ice to get the thing down, isn't it? It's just like it's curling.
Yes. Oh, no, you did.
Yeah. So the parents are out front sweeping the way for the kid to come down the ice, get them to go right where they want.
Grow a pair, I mean, back in the day, guys were going off to war, shooting guns, raising 4 children by the time they were 21. And they faced adversity. And now they're like, your feelings are going to get hurt. Or, talking about these ridiculous things that they're fussing over, and having these boys wear vagina hats and marching in marches saying that, like, sad. I disown my toxic masculinity. Come on. So we're actively discouraging masculinity and demonizing it in our culture now. The feminists are cheering it on, and no one's standing up for men and manhood and saying, no, this is wrong. We need our manhood in the world. When we have healthy masculinity, our world is a better, stronger, safer place.
I like that you make the distinction between healthy and toxic masculinity, because the left, they talk about toxic masculinity as if itself is necessarily toxic, when in reality, masculinity doesn't have to be toxic. Instead, you can use that to be more productive. It can be used for productive means. So, we saw you in St. Louis. That's where we met you, and you had an awesome presentation. And I like the way you pointed out that this masculinity was used to save the world during World War II. We had these brave men go out there and save the world. I mean, that was just one part of a whole bunch of points you were making on it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. I really appreciate it. And, it's unfortunate that men who stand up to this BS are called misogynist and sexist and everything, and saying that they must hate women. if they love their own masculinity, want to stand up for it. So I feel like it's going to take a lot of women to stand up against this brand of feminism that's very dangerous and say, no, we love our men, actually. We love masculinity. They protect us. They provide. They do so many things in the world. We owe our safety in our nation to our men, so much of it. And so we need to, especially during this whole Kavanaugh situation, good women who love men need to stand up against this and separate ourselves from the crazy women that are cheering this kind of lynching on and castration on. And we need to say, look, there are women who love you guys, and we know that not all men are toxic. We know that not all men are potential rapists, and you deserve that respect.
Absolutely.
So I know I went on a bit of a rant there, but it's the lack of healthy masculinity. It's not toxic masculinity. It's a lack of healthy masculinity, the lack of fathers in the home. And those are the things that are contributing to things like rape, violence, and shootings, not this so-called toxic masculinity. And because, sorry, I'll just say real quick, because the father is no longer respected at home, and our culture is saying that, you know, single motherhood is just as fine and dandy as an intact nuclear family, and the father is often mocked in TV shows and commercials and stuff, we're disempowering and not celebrating fatherhood like we used to. So it's no wonder why there's more broken families. But that's the root of the issue, why we're leading to these kinds of social issues and big problems.
Yeah, the Homer Simpsons and the Al Bundys of the world, it was funny and it was a joke, but when it gets to the point to where they're modeling or they're empowering feminists, and the feminists that you see, I told you, look at Al Bundy. No, man, he's a character. It's not a real person. But those things that we see on TV, and I have a son that's turned 4 in May, and my wife comes to me, and it's totally different with a boy. We have 2 girls and 1 boy, and it's completely different. He responds differently when daddy comes home. It's a total different response. He's at the age where he's starting to see how he can, how far he can push his mother, how much he can get away with, and how he can manipulate her in a sense that he can't get away with it with me. And just on a second point, Carrie and I both come from divorced homes, and so he and I have talked about this a lot. How that our view of marriage is, you've got to make that happen. There is none of this baby boomer mentality where if it doesn't feel good, don't do it anymore. It doesn't feel good. I'm out. Right.
Oh, no one knows the definition of commitment anymore. No one understands that it's committing through the good times and the bad time, right?
Sickness and health, right?
Yeah, exactly. And no one's really promoting. They're saying that, you know, a single parent home or an LGBTQIA LMNOZ family is just as healthy and strong as a intact nuclear family with a real man and a real woman. So, and nothing against that. It's just that it's factually incorrect. You know, there's nothing stronger and nothing healthier than an intact nuclear family with a man and a woman.
I have some questions.
Go ahead.
So, Bella is out. Asks, how long have you been married? I'm assuming that they think that you are married. Are you married?
I'm not married. No.
Not married. DeAnna's not married.
And I refuse. I won't do it anymore. I've asked past guests how old they are, and I get yelled at every day. Even with Brandon Straka. I mean, he's
Brandon
a guy,
Straka was like, "No, you cannot ask."
Yeah, I'm a millennial. Let's put it. I'm a millennial, so that puts me in a certain age group.
Okay.
Show you right.
Yeah, I am a millennial, and part of the reason why I wrote this book is because of my own frustration with there's nothing more that I want than to be married and with a family. And I know that I'd be an excellent wife and mother, but it's that this culture is so toxic with, you know, dating and people not wanting to commit and people in catch and release, you know, swipe left, swipe right. They forget about you 2 minutes later kind of culture that we live in.
Right.
That it's really difficult for good men and women to have what they want most right now, which is typically a marriage and a family. It's very difficult out there, but I'm definitely searching for them.
Real Rocky McAlley asks about the Proud Boys. I personally have not done a lot of research on the Proud Boys.
I like the Proud Boys.
Okay, but I know that they're a men's organization and that they are they lean right, they're conservative, and I do know that they have a really bad reputation of racism, which I know is false because Yeah, and basically what happens is they'll get somebody in there that'll say something that might be a little questionable, and it's my understanding that when that happens, these people are ostracized immediately, and in most cases kicked out of the club altogether. But so that's why I know that they're not that way. However, because it's a men's club, they also get a lot of hate from feminists. And somebody asked how you felt about them, especially encouraging men to be husbands and a nuclear family.
I love it. I love any organization that supports masculinity and that supports family values and husband and fatherhood. Right now, I was very sad, and I actually predicted this in my book that it would happen. So everything I predicted in my book has come true so far. I was very sad about the Boy Scouts. Feminists love to impinge and intrude on every man cave, everywhere that they're supposed to be all boys. Here come the feminists coming in and raining on their parade and saying, you guys can't do that. And I think that's so sick and sad because boys need spaces where they can just be boys, clumsy boys, or, just do guy things. They need those man caves. And it helps develop their masculine traits and leadership and everything when girls are not present. And and there's actually a lot of studies that say that boys actually learn much better in all boys environments, and they tend to thrive better.
Oh, I bet.
When they don't have girls around.
They're not.
Right.
They're not distracted.
Like trying to shoot a gun for a first time, and you're kind of clumsy. You're awkward, and then there's girls looking at you right there that you think are kind of cute, and you're a 12-year-old boy. Right.
Not good. Not good.
No, it's not good.
Yeah, when we were in the Boy Scouts, Carrie and I, and his older brother. And was Jason in the Boy Scouts?
Yeah, in the younger years.
He's got 4 on his side with his dad, and I've got 4 on my side with my dad. And so us guys were doing the Boy Scout thing. And I remember clearly being there on the range with my dad, and I said, Dad, why is that guy screaming at us? And he said, so you pay attention. I was, okay. Yeah. I'm supposed to pay attention. So it was just me and my dad, and my little brother might have been too small for this, but it was that bonding moment with my dad when he was there. If there was a girl there, I think it would have been, it would take away from the whole thing altogether. I'd be paying attention to her.
Yeah. I think it definitely takes away from the purpose. And, of that bonding, father-son bonding so much too, and all male bonding, it's very important. So, and feminists are very, very sinister and manipulative. They know what they're doing. They know that when they intrude on male spaces, that they end up with weak men, and they want to do that.
Why do you think they want to do that? Why do they want to make everybody soy boys, all the men?
Well, I don't know how far back you want to go as far as Marxism or whatever, but there is an agenda. This is part of a greater plan to weaken men, because when you have weak men, then you have an easier controlled country. You have citizens that are easier to control, that they're dependent on the government instead of looking to their man or looking to their family. They are, easily controllable. And then you kind of have women who want to be power or want to be more powerful than men, and they want to be in control. But really, it's just because, kind of the powers that be, whatever you want to call it, do know that, weakened men, weakened soy boys cannot really properly have a very defensive country and a strong and healthy country.
That's interesting that you link this, go back to communism. Here on Smyth Radio, Military Veteran Talk Radio, we talk about communism quite often. And matter of fact, we've had a man by the name of Trevor Loudon, an author of Enemies Within. He's from New Zealand. He's at New Zeal blog on Twitter, just a phenomenal guy. And what he has done is he's documented all the communists that are in our political system as of today, links it all back and shows you exactly who these characters are and what this means. I always had the notion that Islam had something in communism. There was some common thread that I just couldn't put together, and he sewed it up for us by saying that it's the same thing. Is that communism is the religion of the government, and in Islam, it's the religion of the government, and it's all identical. That's why the left embraces Islam. That's why the left embraces all these crazy ideologies. And now we have you linking feminist to all of this nonsense.
Tying it all together.
And I talk about this in my book too. I go deeper down the rabbit hole because it is all linked together. And feminism is really just a front for communism. I mean, it's like a front. There's a front group, right? And and you know, the whole purpose is to weaken men, weaken the traditional family, create a homosexual agenda, and you know, and weaken the country so that we're easily controllable. We're basically just workhorses for the government. And when the government fathers did not design America this way.
Correct. You know? And then you have the government pandering. When I said the government, you have the Democrat Socialist, DSA, Democrat Socialist of America, folks. DSA.
Watch out for that.
It's real. It's real. You have the DSA promising, whether it be minorities or people who are who have thrown off the bow lines of personal responsibility. They no longer want it. They promise to them to help, shelter, take care of, and feed them. And now you've got an entire citizenry dependent upon the government. And then you get what you get like Venezuela, where everything just completely crumbles and falls apart. When just 20, not even 20, we're talking less than 20 years ago, Venezuela was a promising, budding capitalist society with oil wealth and revenues with the likes of none other, and now they're running out of water.
Somebody on Periscope is challenging the idea that feminism is a front for communism. So let me ask you this. How many feminists do you know that are in the right-wing conservative movement?
0.
So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know why this person thinks that somehow it's not. It's pretty obvious.
You know what Democrats hate the most? They absolutely loathe beautiful, strong, intelligent, sexy, conservative Christian women. They absolutely loathe that. That's something they want nothing to do with.
I've always thought this.
I get attacked by feminists every day. I mean, and I'm not saying I'm all those things that you just mentioned, but I get attacked all the time by feminists, and they just want to tear me down. They want to tear down any woman who speaks out against their agenda.
Well, and Kanye West last night on SNL, I don't know if you heard about that.
Yeah.
You're tearing down an American that just happens to have darker skin than us. You're tearing him down for saying he wants to think differently than you do.
Yeah.
Be a free thinker.
High-tech lynching. High-tech lynching.
Yes.
High-tech lynching 2.0.
So, you know, Rush Limbaugh says that feminism is he calls feminism the way for ugly women to get into the mainstream. I don't disagree with that, but I have my own take on feminism. I think it's a misunderstanding by women that they can control the world or gain power the same way that men do if they were just given an even playing field. I've always felt that women actually have all the power because they're able to pull the levers of their men. And I even go so far as to throw this analogy out there and see what you think of it before we get into the Kavanaugh stuff. I've always said if life were the Indy 500, the men would be the race cars driving around the track, and the women would be the drivers behind the wheel. And so a woman having a great vehicle, the Indy car, getting around, could win this race. A feminist would be like somebody saying, I don't need that car. I'll just run down the straightaway. I'll win this race. And at the same time, a man without a good woman is like the race car barreling down the track with no driver.
Yes.
That's my analogy.
That's what I was before I was married.
Yeah, it's behind every strong man is a strong woman, and we need each other. You know, I love it. We need each other. And I think it's just the most bizarre thing in the world that feminists would want to stamp out masculinity. Like, why? Masculinity is amazing. You know, we have some flaws. Women have flaws. Men have flaws. We have some tendencies that, you know, when we're driven to our worst, yes, they will come out. But for the most part, like, that is a beautiful synergistic relationship.
Right.
And we need each other.
Kavanaugh.
Who's that? Who's that? What?
Well, what do you think about the accusations, and what is your overall take of it, without interjecting whatever we might think of it?
Well, first of all, I just want to let you know I am in the swamp right now. That's why I'm calling you from a hotel. I'm in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
And it's for the purpose of doing some interviews about the Kavanaugh situation.
Our prayers are
And
with
it's
you.
Crazy over there. The energy this week has been intense in the swamp. So my take on it is I am absolutely disgusted with it. It is the most vile thing ever. Like, Pocahontas, savages, barely even human. You know that song on Pocahontas? Okay, well, that's what I'm starting to think of feminists and the left right now. What they're doing to Kavanaugh is so beyond disgusting that no, I don't think that these are accurate accusations. I don't think that ever happened. I think she is a pawn. I think they cooked up this story, and I think that he's innocent. I don't think he ever sexually harassed anyone. I mean, I almost think that he suffers. Maybe he was like too nice in college and was like the awkward boy who, I can't imagine really his character. My gut tells me that he's not the kind of guy that could be violent towards women. And I just feel like from watching their body language, from watching everything they said, and because of the fact that there's still no corroborating evidence, I don't see this happening. And I think that she cooked it up. It was the Democrats' plot. And it's sad that women are actually buying into this and believing it.
From a woman's point of view, and I might not even ask this correctly, but from a woman's point of view, if you were 15 and somebody was 17 and you happened to be at a house party where there was drinking and you were tackled by boys at the party, and I know women who've been in mosh pits, and that ain't no fun either, but why they go in it is beyond me. I don't think they do that anymore, but that was the 90s. So anyways, my whole point is that the tackling and wrestling inappropriately, if you will, does the average woman view that as I'm being raped?
Or even assaulted in some way?
I hope to God not. I mean, first of all, I grew up with 4 brothers, okay?
Oh, wow. There you go. There's my answer.
They ruffled and tumbled me a lot. They would wrestle with me and everything. And I'm thankful that I did grow up with a bunch of boys and was always tagging along with all their boys and their friends. And I would never think about that. I mean, this woman is saying she's traumatized and needing therapy her whole life from a boy supposedly putting her on a bed and tackling her for a minute. I feel sorry for her husband.
Oh, could you imagine him live? Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Consider that any kind of rape. That just sounds like high school to me, or a clumsy college party. I don't know, but I certainly don't think that's harassment or rape. And I think it's appalling that she's making it out to be like that, if this even happened at all.
And then the attempted murder.
Oh yeah, she said I thought I was going to die.
So ridiculous.
Well, I have a cop friend. I have a cop friend that said, why aren't they investigating attempted murder? Because the reason he said, he's a law enforcement guy, he said this would be easier to find evidence for than attempted rape. Attempted murder is easier to investigate. So he said, why aren't they going after that? That was his question.
Probably because they would find out that there was no attempted murder.
Right. They don't want to.
There's nothing that adds up. And also, I want to know, who did she call to pick her up and who dropped her off at the party?
Right.
Because I think that's a very interesting point, given that there were no cell phones at the time, given that if she would have to go downstairs to these supposed rapists and make a phone call on the phone, on a real landline phone, which they were nice enough to provide her with. I mean, none of the facts add up.
Right.
None of them do.
And we spoke with, we had Juanita Broderick on our show last week in the second hour.
Awesome.
And she was phenomenal. She was just an awesome woman. She's become very wildly successful in her business adventures, if you will. And her sentiment was, in that moment, if that was real, you remember everything.
Mm-hmm.
You are cursed with the smells. You're cursed with the people that were there. You're cursed with the memories of every single moment and every single second and every single detail. I'm using my own words. You're cursed with it. But it's something that is so difficult to get rid of. And it's just it's a movie that continues to play over and over and over again. So
and she didn't buy the accusations either at all. So she stands with Kavanaugh.
She does not buy it. And you know what really upsets me is that this is like, if romance weren't already dead, thanks to feminists, like took the knife in it and like twisted it and like, okay, let's just make sure romance is fully dead. Because right now that this was like sort of the, I really feel like this was the nail in the coffin for a lot of men who were already starting to feel mistrustful towards women. And now it's like, can I even flirt with a girl anymore? Can I even, like, now I have to worry about something that happened at a high school party or an elementary school, 4th grade. I pushed a girl down the slide or kissed her. Is now she going to come back? You know, this sets a very dangerous precedent for a long, long time to come. And liberals are so short-sighted and selfish. They just want to stop his nomination. They're not thinking years ahead of what the damage that this is doing between men and women, trust and goodwill from men towards women is really bad. And then, of course, the damage that this is doing for real, actual survivors of real sexual assault and rape, a lot of times they're probably not going to be believed anymore after this. So this is very, very bad for long-term relationships.
In grade school back in the 80s, sorry, going back a little bit.
Back to the 80s.
We were allowed, and they were there, we were allowed outside to play during recess. And against the brick wall of the building, the giant, huge wide brick wall of the building, Cheviot Elementary, we had real dodgeballs, real rubber, real balls, like dodgeballs. They weren't
heavy.
They were, yes. And I have a confession, and I can never run for any political position ever because I nailed a girl in the head, and she hit the brick wall.
Oh, gosh. On purpose or accident?
Well, I mean, we were trying to hit each other. And she just happened. I mean, there was probably a couple dozen of us there, and the guys were throwing the ball. I was 11, 12, so I was 6th grade, starting to develop a little bit of an arm. And man, when you hit somebody with those dodgeballs like that, back then, the hard rubber balls.
It's the conservation of momentum. Yes. It was a physics class, right?
It was a physics. Once the impact hit, her head exponentially moved faster than the ball to hit the wall. And so my violent act.
You just talked about how this is going to make it very difficult for all boys coming up. I honestly thought that this whole episode may have ended the ability for a woman to properly or legitimately accuse anybody of rape when it's legitimate. I mean, the boy who cried wolf has come full circle here, and I think it's a really dangerous thing.
They have cried wolf so many times. I mean, this is like they have cemented themselves as the boy who cried wolf.
Well, think about it now.
I'm a girl, and I can't believe this anymore.
You pretty much have to have hard empirical evidence, multiple, like you have to have so much evidence now because it's to the point now where it's like, okay,
Keith Ellison isn't even believed, and there's police reports on that one.
Yeah, the he said she said is just
God, that makes me so mad too. That whole thing, like their hypocrisy. This is where I think, am I missing something? You know, sometimes I wonder, like, am I missing something with the feminist movement? Like, I'm an outsider. I know I think differently, but maybe I need to give it a little bit more, thought. And then they go and do something like this where, Keith Ellison has actual police records of his beating his girlfriend and committing violence towards her. And where's the Me Too outcry? Where's the whole march, the whole National Walkout Day for Keith Ellison in protest? They're silent.
Yeah,
when it comes to Judge Kavanaugh,
the hypocrisy proves that the leftists, or I should say, the feminists are a leftist group that are just pushing leftism, Democrats, the party, and that's it. That's it.
So when I talk about a lot in my book and podcasts and stuff, so leftists, right? And on top of leftists, basically, we might as well call them communists, or they're basically the deep state. Right, I think, and I hope I can say that on your show. But
we consider deep state as people who are unelected officials in the government.
Right, any unelected.
They could be bad. They could be good.
We
consider my brother who works for the DOD. He's deep state. He's been there a long time. He's just unelected. He's a great guy, just an unelected.
He's
official.
Just an employee. So
okay. So basically, like leftism is the ideals of socialism and communism for the part. And feminism falls underneath that umbrella. And that's why I say, it's really feminism. Yes, that's why you never will find a feminist who is a conservative for the most part, because people who identify as feminism and those ideals are really directly opposite of conservative values and the kinds of things that they believe are leftist beliefs. So they're all really one and the same.
And you mentioned your show, and I forgot about that. Where can people listen to you on a regular basis?
Yeah, so Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I do a live stream like yours. It's Make Love Great Again. And go to my YouTube channel at DeAnna Lorraine, DeAnna Lorraine 7. And that's the same with my Twitter, too. My Twitter handle is DeAnna Lorraine 7. All the action is there. And you can find my audio version of the podcast on iTunes. So if you type in Make Love Great Again.
To help people remember your handle, where did the 7 come from?
Well, 7 is my lucky number.
Oh, there you go.
I was born on the 7th.
Okay.
I have a 7 shoe size, 7 ring size, and I do like the number 7. So
awesome.
That's why.
Well, now you'll remember.
So for
everybody, I didn't hear about the number 8 though when you guys were talking about the number 8. I'm like,
oh, you heard that?
We were making fun of George Norrie, and you
might be a little too young for George Norrie. I'm sorry. He's we AM junkie. We were.
It's
AM junkies.
It's overnight. It's an overnight show. It's like a 6-hour-long show. It goes from like midnight till 6 in the morning, and so it's really popular with the truckers because it's AM. It's cast all the way across the country, and sometimes in the middle of the night, and I just turn on AM and start listening. He would have a call-in guy, and that would go on for like 15 minutes. And I'm thinking, gosh, is George Norrie still there? And I'll never forget this. I had to cry. I called up Brian and I said, Brian, you got to hear this. Turns out the guy is talking. He's on his like 10th minute, and he goes, "You there, George? You there?" Yeah, it was so hilarious.
That's a long time for a guest to talk straight.
Oh, it was going. Well, it turns out he wasn't there. As soon as he gets him talking, he goes and takes a break.
And so I've got your name up for those of you watching live. I've got your handle up on your name and your handle up there on Twitter, and that's also the same on YouTube as well. And I saw on your banner on Twitter a New Right Media. Is that what it is?
New Right Network.
New Right Network. Sorry.
New Right Network.
Yes.
And so
I broadcast live from the New Right Network's Periscope and YouTube. And so lately I've been broadcasting live from their network and from my YouTube channel on the same time. But if I am doing it on the New Right Network, then I take the videos and upload it onto my own channel later.
Awesome.
That day. DeAnna Lorraine 7. And so your guys are starting to work now with New Right Network also?
Yes. Those guys are great. Yeah, we really like them. We align on all of our policy. Yeah, our everything that we are trying to push with the MAGA movement. We feel that everybody at New Right Network are right on board with. So we love it. We love it.
Right, and I say quite often we are Donald Trump's legacy in the sense that his ideas, his policies, the big tent that is Donald Trump in the Republican Party, that's us to take back over the Republican Party, to continue to push the founding fathers' agendas, the Christian conservative ideologies.
Right.
Yes, I love it. And by the way, I'm also going to be speaking at the American Priority Conference.
Oh, good. Well, I guess we'll see you again. We will see you again in December. Everybody needs to come. If you're listening to this, you got to come to D.C. December 6th, 7th, and 8th.
It's going to be a powerful weekend. We'll have some drinks. We'll bond. We'll have fun. And then I'm also going to be back for the Walkaway weekend, too. And I heard you guys talk about room.
We're trying. We got to go fund me for that. So please donate, everybody.
Yeah. So I'll be at the Walkaway and the back in December. I know it is kind of a little rough doing the quick turnaround.
Yes.
But so maybe we can get a MAGA group of people together to share a hotel room.
That would be awesome.
Oh, my goodness.
So where are you originally out of? What city are you originally out of?
Normally, Redondo Beach, California, which is in LA.
Yeah. No, I lived down in Long Beach for a while, and I'd hang out at Hermosa and whatnot. So.
Yeah, Hermosa. It's a good place for fun.
Wow. So an LA girl comes out like this. That's amazing. There is hope for the country.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
that's why I don't have many friends over there in the swamp number 2, which I would say LA is swamp number 2.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
But
Yep.
why I love so much, why I gravitate towards these kinds of events and everything so that I could meet more people that are in the MAGA movement, because there is nothing more refreshing. It is like you found an oasis of water in the middle of a desert to have someone who shares your views and your values these days.
It's calm. It's calm. It's soothing. It's healthy.
Yeah.
Nobody's yelling. Nobody's screaming.
We're positive. We get to wave our American flag.
Yeah.
We're pro-military.
That-
we're everything that the country should be. We're
Yes.
everything like this cover of this book. It's all like making love, making America great again.
Making love great again. Making love great again. Get yourself a copy and also come out to the American Priorities Conference so you can see DeAnna Lorraine. December 6th, 7th, and 8th in D.C. And also, I believe there's at American look it up on Twitter. There's a handle where all that information's there so you can come out and check us all out when we get there.
Yeah, we're creating a big MAGA family.
Yes.
Cool.
Oh, it's great.
Sweet. Well, thank you again for coming on such short notice. I absolutely appreciate it.
Fantastic.
Carrie and I were thinking about you on the way up to the Midwest MAGA Saturday night. We just got back this morning. And I said, you know what? It would be awesome to have her on the show and get her opinion on women, because women seem to be a big topic this week.
Right.
So,
yes.
Thank
I
you.
think there's hope for women. I'm trying to turn the tide and wake up more women, to the lies of destructive leftism and feminism, and have them renew, that sense of patriotism and family bonding and, appreciation for men and the military and everything. So I'm trying to bring more hope in the world.
Awesome. Sounds great. Thank you so much for being on, and we will absolutely be in touch and have you back again.
I can't wait. Yeah, thanks so much. You guys are awesome.
All right. Thank you. Awesome. That was DeAnna Lorraine, and I cannot wait until we get to D.C. again.
Yes.
And it will be a lot of fun. It's interesting. This is just anecdotal. There's no science behind this, but I'm paying attention. I'm paying attention on Twitter, and especially Facebook's interesting. Facebook's where I get a lot of crossover lefts on there, the rights on there, and also lots of people that do not get involved in politics. The monster vote, or the independents, if you will, are all doing their thing on Facebook that has nothing to do with politics. But this past week, I've been noticing, actually 2 weeks, I've been noticing people who never speak up politically on Facebook are starting to speak up about this Kavanaugh thing, and it's mostly women. And I'll tell you why. It's not because the men aren't on board, and it's not because the men are soy boys. But they got this thing where they're like, well, I need to stay out of this.
I had someone, an older gentleman that I knew, that came up to me this week and out of the blue, for whatever reason, made the comment that abortion. What? I'm not a woman. I ain't got nothing to do with that.
I was like that back in the day.
So anyways, I'm just making that point to kind of go along with this, because there's a lot of men out there that are like, rape?
Yeah.
Oh, that's women.
Well,
that's not me.
Remember, men do what they think the women will be okay with.
Approve.
Right.
Whatever you whatever you women approve, I'm in that group.
Which is why when you hear about allegations, the seriousness of the allegations, men are just like, the white knighting is mostly because they feel that the women who see them white knighting will approve.
Right. Well,
that's the main reason.
And even if they're genuinely inside not white knighting, they'll put that out there to make it look that way, and then look to the woman and see her reaction.
Yeah.
And if her reaction is positive, he will then embrace the white knight.
Yes.
And if it's a girls, women, I
they
keep
have
saying
power.
girls.
They have all the power.
I really, and we're teaching our daughters this. Women, you have the control. You really do. And as long as you don't abuse it and you become the benevolent, not dictator, but the benevolent leader in that sense. We are all on board. Like my wife has always been, because she homeschools and she doesn't make physical money, she's always been wanting to do something to contribute financially. She came up with a wild idea to buy a duplex and have the rent to bottom out. And I said, you know what? That's phenomenal. She led us in that direction. She found a place, sold the other place. I mean, she's one after another, and she does a phenomenal job at that She's really good, and I do the other half.
It's pulling the levers, which that women, you got to start doing that. You have the levers. If you don't pull the levers, the thing's out of control.
Right. And
it's out of control.
Something that you told me, Carrie, that I just really blew my mind was that it seems that a man, probably a Democrat, a leftist, a man invented birth control to remove.
This is a theory nobody else is talking about.
To remove the objection of no.
Yes.
I will take the word no away from you.
Abortion and birth control is a way to take power away from women. Women get all the power. First of all, first and foremost, just straight out, they control whether or not a guy gets sex. Which is, of course, the number one motivation for men, right? But the power comes from being able to say no. Look at the art of the deal. You have to be able to turn around and say no and walk away. Birth control and abortion is a way to take that power away from women. It takes the need or the rationale for the no away.
Right, and women, you can lean on that. I'm not having sex before I'm married or whatnot because I have a baby out of wedlock or have a baby and not even have you around to help me raise. I don't even really know that.
Right.
Yeah, but I got prophylactics, whatever.
It makes it easier to break down that wall.
You know, if you're not on the pill, then I've got this, and so now that's out of the way.
Right.
Now, so you
I think it was invented by men to break down that wall.
You saying you don't like me? Is that what you say?
I mean, could you imagine
seriously
some guy that's trying to invent something like this? It's like, gosh, if there was only some way where I just have completely unadulterated,
no responsibilities,
responsibility free, sex with whoever, whatever, man, do this, and then the magic pill is invented, and boom, just like that. That's what they're thinking. That's what they're thinking.
Then the Viagra is invented.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know how
Pandora's
related that
box.
is. Yeah, but I don't know. It's no problem with Viagra because guy might have a problem with his wife.
Sorry, I apologize.
I don't know if that's as related, but definitely,
I was thinking
birth
about
control and abortion is a way to control women by taking away how much power they have because they do have a ton of power. And if you're a woman listening to this right now, I hope that you know how to utilize that power because that's it. You control the world.
Hey, Ronald Reagan, Nancy Reagan, just say no. Just say no. No, man. Sorry. I don't roll like that.
If you can, you got these liberals coming up with all kinds of crazy ways that break down those barriers. Anyway, but I didn't forget where I was at. Facebook. There's all kinds of women coming out of everywhere. People that are not even political. People who are Democrats. I've heard more stories of Democrats, lifelong Democrats, coming out and saying that they are done with the Democrat Party. They're going to vote Republican down the line from here on out for the rest of their lives because they will never forgive the Democrats for what they've done this week with the Kavanaugh confirmation hearings. I've never seen nothing like this before. I mean,
no,
it's rare to see a red pilling happen right before your eyes. It's impossibly rare to see it multiple times. I've seen 2 or 3 hard examples where somebody actually shows the screenshots of their liberal buddy admitting that they're totally red-pilled. And it was because of the behavior of the Democrats at the Kavanaugh hearing.
You called it early on back when they were interviewing Peter Strzok, and you said that the Democrats behaved like Antifa.
Yeah.
They have embraced the violent anger, hate, and vitriol of Antifa.
Right.
They've embraced that, and now they're using that thinking that that's going to win them something. When reality is, it's ideas that win something. It's not the violence and the hate and destroy your opponent mentally, physically, and have people go out and scream in his face and Ted Cruz getting violently screamed at, him and his wife.
I heard that after that episode, they went back in and finished their dinner.
Yes, I heard about that.
So that was such a win. That felt good to know that it didn't ruin their night.
Right. So let's talk about what happened on Saturday Night Live.
Kanye West.
Well, two things happened. We'll go with Kanye West, and then the second part of it that happened is that they did Matt Damon.
Yeah.
He came out and he did a rendition of Kavanaugh.
Yeah, Matt Damon is the poster boy for the word pretentious.
Right.
Because he made this movie, Good Will Hunting, and he's a LARP. He thinks he is Good Will Hunting.
Right.
He truly believes that. He thinks he's a genius. And even though Ben Affleck didn't get to be the genius in that movie, but he also believes that he's a genius. And they're pretentious.
Right.
Which, by the way, is if you have a child that's called pretentious,
that's not good.
Precocious, good.
Okay,
Pretentious,
yeah.
bad.
Real bad.
Yeah.
So Saturday Night Live, I don't know anybody that really watches it anymore. I don't know any.
That's why we didn't watch it.
Millennials don't watch it. I was tired last night, and I went back to the hotel room, and I was flipping through the channels. I swear, all that's holy. Matt Damon is on the TV, and I'm like, what is this? And it says Saturday Night Live, and I'm like, I can't do this. Not right now.
I would have done it.
And I wanted happiness. I wanted calm, peace, tranquility. So I flipped the channel. But when I woke up in the morning, it was all over the place. Saturday Night Live has become so unfunny, so awfully wretched. It's the anti-humor of the left. The left is not funny. None of the jokes are funny. When you make fun of somebody.
Were they funny back in the day? Because I thought we cracked up laughing in the 80s.
Yes, we did. When go back as far as Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd, if you will.
I was too young for that.
I mean, that's some of the beginning stuff. But then go back to
late 80s.
Adam Sandler.
Yeah. I thought some of the stuff they did was pretty funny, but I was a lot younger. And when you're younger, there's for some reason comedians seem, I don't know, it's just more palatable. You get older and you listen to these people and you're just like, oh my gosh. But anyway.
Right, but I can truly listen to somebody that's funny, that makes jokes about the left or the right. I don't care. I can do that. I'm good with that. But it has gotten so wretchedly bad. Even Donald Trump.
Not Realistic said, yes, the 80s. Kellyanne says they were hysterical back in the day.
Okay. So even Donald Trump tweeted out today, I hosted Saturday Night Live, but it has become a wretched, awful rag like The View. It's just awful.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
And so Kanye West, he's still making the round. You know, I can't figure this out. The question, Carrie, question. How is it that what is the late night talk show that was crying over his boy in healthcare, and he was on the Man Show? Why is his name slipping my mind?
Are you talking about Jimmy Kimmel?
Yeah.
Oh, Jimmy Kimmel.
Jimmy Kimmel recently had Kanye on his show.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday Night Live is now having Kanye host the show.
Right.
They know who this guy is.
Right. I think Jimmy Kimmel thought he was trolling.
I thought Jimmy Kimmel won because I watched that part of the show. I thought he could change his mind. Like he was trying to.
Like he could outsmart him.
Yes.
Jimmy Kimmel is a moron.
And he played the part extremely well. He was a method actor when it came to
being a moron?
Being a moron. He was a method actor.
Okay. So you're saying he may not actually be that dumb.
No, he's caused himself to be that dumb.
Okay.
And embraced that so he could be a.
Well, here's the thing. I think that people thought that there was a lot of trolling going on by Kanye when he was doing the Make America Great Again hat. He was coming out with his new album. Everybody thought, oh, he's not really a Trump supporter. He's just doing that to drum up excitement, or not excitement, but just there's no such thing as bad news.
Well, he went positive with Trump versus Eminem going negative with Trump and completely failing.
Right. And that's the thing about Eminem.
You're
not going to make real news by bashing Trump. In fact, you're going to look like a coward. There's nothing courageous about attacking Trump in the mainstream media and in pop culture, music, Hollywood. There's nothing courageous about that. There's this fallacy that they believe, and I don't think they believe it for real, but they're trying to get you to believe that he's the most powerful man in the world. Do you realize how dangerous it is to cross somebody that powerful?
Kerry, he's dictatorial.
Oh my gosh, he could just send out the brown shirts, round you up, and puts you right in the concentration camp.
Well, he's going to. He's already got
Right.
that. I was told by a friend from my sister's brother's girlfriend that the brown shirts are coming.
Well, did you hear about Eminem?
No, what happened?
He stood up to him. He said bad things about Trump. What a courageous person.
Wow.
No, BS. It's courageous to stand up to the mob. Kanye West did something that I thought was incredibly courageous. Here he is in the gutter of pop media, pop culture, the music industry. He's surrounded, like, with his wife and everything. You talk about Hollywood. For him to stand up to the mob, the pitchforks and the torches, and he said, all y'all are crazy. You guys are dumb for doing this, whatever he says, and he crosses the mob.
Right, his clothing line and his music. He's got a lot on the line,
right,
if you will. And this is what courage. This is what courage looks like, folks. Here's Kanye West last night stepping out.
Try love. Try love, try love. You see, they laughing at me. You heard them, they scream at me. They bully me. They bullied me backstage. They said, don't go out there with that hat on. They bullied me backstage. They bullied me. And then they say, I'm in a sunken place. You want to see the sunken place? Okay, I'm going to listen to y'all now. Or I'm going to put my Superman cape on. Because this means you can't tell me what to do. Follow your heart and stop following your mind. That's how we're controlled. That's how we're programmed. If you want the world to move forward, try love. Thank y'all for giving me this platform. I know some of y'all don't agree, but y'all be going at that man neck a lot, and I don't think it's actually that helpful. I think the universe has balance. 90% of news are liberal. 90% of TV, LA, New York, writers, rappers, musicians. So it's easy to make it seem like it's so one-sided. And I felt kind of free. I thought this country said I could be me. I love me too.
I love you, Terry.
So bring the band back. Bring the band back. Did you feel that and you understand that? Bring the motherfucking hands up. I feel kind of free. And this is all the motherfucking is. Let me see that. I know that was weird. That was so weird. I see it in your face. Black men.
Interesting.
So some people were saying that
the feed was cut. If you were watching it on NBC and live, they started doing the credits, which actually is common when you get to the end and you have the last act, the last musician doing the last thing. You got the credits are scrolling, and then when they hit the deadline, they got to pull the plug and you're going to commercial. So I don't know, since I wasn't watching it myself, I can't comment on
when
what
they
happened.
cut it off, how they cut it off. I do know that Chris Rock was. I can only speculate. Chris Rock was in the audience.
Okay.
Because he was periscoping that scene. He was periscoping that from his seat. I wanted to use that, but that sound was much, much worse than what you heard here.
Right, because if you're periscoping, the mic is just your phone. So.
Right. So, and I think the person that recorded this off of a TV or whatnot. But anyways, this is strength. This is bravery. This is crossing. You guys, you got to understand, we are now, we are the counterculture. And this is proof. This is proof. Yep. We are the counterculture. We are the guys that are just trying to say, hey, We're making a come up. We don't believe those wrong ideologies from the past. We've got to get back to our roots and what is real and what makes sense. And this is what makes sense. And this is how you can't mind control us.
You know, it's interesting if you're a Gen Xer like us, or especially like a baby boomer is a big one. If you're a baby boomer, you've gone through this when you were a child growing up, watching stuff on the TV, and then all of a sudden these albums start coming out with that type of music, you know?
Right.
And so you were the counterculture as a leftist, as a Democrat, as a liberal, whatever you want to call it. And pop culture, Hollywood, the media, the news, everything was total right wing. And so they went through that where they're going against the fathers and the grandfathers, you know, all these old fuddy-duddies. We're going through that right now. The millennials are doing it. You know, for a couple of years, we made fun of the millennials. We thought the problem with the country, the problem with the world right now is the millennials. Actually, the millennials are figuring it out.
Well, not only that, but there were some reports that came out that millennials, they're not getting divorced.
Right.
They're actually getting married, and they're staying married.
Yeah.
Because the divorce rate has plummeted.
And it turns out a big part of that is that they saw their parents get divorced, and they realized it was wrong. And, you know, Brian is still married.
Yeah.
And that's not going anywhere
from
what I can see. Absolutely not. I'm married. That's not going anywhere. And one of the big things before I decided, should I get married or not? Should I get married or not? Whatever. One of the things was if I say, yes, I'm going to get married, it's going to be after I have determined that there is no way that it's going to end in a separation.
Right.
No way.
And don't think for one second, if you're not married yet and you're thinking about getting married, don't think for one second that to get to 12 years of marriage that it's going to be easy, okay, walk in the park. But here's the thing. Building a house isn't easy either.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, learning to play the guitar like Jimmy Page, that ain't easy. Becoming a prodigy of Michael Jordan, that ain't easy. So what I'm talking about is Allen Iverson missed out on is practice.
Yeah.
you got to stay in the game. You got to work at it. Yes, there's going to be tough times. Yes, there's going to be arguments. Yes, there's going to be shouting. And yes, there's going to be ups and downs and ins and outs. But together you work. You come back. I'm sorry. Work it out. Talk about it. And move on from it.
Well, people that have come from a broken home, they have gone through hell, and we know because we did, and I can tell you,
my wife as well. It was hell for her. It was hell for me. It was hell for Carrie.
Yeah, and the thing is the damage was done because of the decision that was made, and some people say, well, you're doing damage to the kids when you're fighting every day too. Yeah, it's not the same. It's totally different. Yeah, you shouldn't be fighting in front of your kids, especially if it's really bad and all this kind of stuff. But you're going to do damage if you end up split.
The damage that you do by divorcing and literally just you're ruining the kids' minds. The kids hate it. They absolutely hate all of it. I don't care if some of these parents tell me, oh, well, I'm still friends with my wife and we still get along and stuff. And I'm like, no.
How about this one?
They want you, because we continue to ask my mom for years afterwards, when are you and Dad getting back together?
Oh, man.
We continue. All four of us would ask her that every once in a while.
Yeah, I actually went through that with my mom and my dad, where I was like, my mom admit that she made a mistake and she would go back.
Mine too.
I ran to my dad and said, you know what Mom said? And I was just,
it's green lit. We're getting the family back.
It was a pipe dream.
We're getting the family back together,
man.
Yeah,
it didn't happen. It didn't happen. It was a disaster.
Just like B.B. King, the love is gone.
Yeah, it's just not good. But anyway, so don't do that. But no, the millennials are figuring it out. They've seen the mistakes that were made by both the baby boomers and a lot of the Generation Xers. Because the Generation Xers, only part of us experienced the divorce stuff. So they kind of kept on expanding on this tradition that was started by the baby boomers where you get married for about anywhere from 7 to 15 years and then you get divorced because
it don't feel
good.
It don't feel good. I want to do something else now.
Right.
It just ain't what I want to do.
Millennials are finally like, all right, I see what's going on here. We got to stop that.
Right. So and what we're talking about, folks, is we're talking about the counterculture. We're talking about walk away from the Democrat Party 2018. And this is what people are walking away from. Charlie Kirk, who is a phenomenal, this kid's a prodigy. I mean, phenomenal young youth who has the ability to articulate his ideas, to articulate his position as a conservative. He started, what did he start?
Turning Point.
Turning Points.
Yeah.
Turning Points USA. Become wildly successful financially with that, and him as well as with Candace Owens and a bunch of other folks tour the country, speaking to millennials, speaking to youth in the colleges that they're the indoctrination facilitas, talking to them, trying to make sense to them, and so this week Charlie Kirk versus the mob of Kavanaugh protesters. This is what we are against. Because this is the insanity that has taken over the Democrat Party. And you'll see the women that Charlie Kirk engages with in this video, says it all. I've got the sound turned way down just to start it off, but then I'll adjust it here on the screen. So there's nothing wrong. It's just a little bit of screaming. So this is Turning Points USA with Charlie Kirk and exposing the left insanity.
This guy assaulted a woman.
Prove it.
No.
He's innocent.
No.
I'm still proven guilty. Prove it. What evidence do you have?
What evidence do you have that did it?
I don't have to prove a negative. That's what makes our judicial system so amazing.
So you're gonna let a potential assaulter what kind of uncultured swine are you? Tell me. Do you not believe her? Do you not believe women who are raped and assaulted?
I believe something happened to her. I do not believe it was Brett Kavanaugh.
Why? Where do you get that idea from?
So
Your Republican talking point?
The lack of evidence.
Okay, so
the lack of evidence.
Right. So she's screaming because of the
she believes the accuser, and she believes the part where she said it was definitely Brett Kavanaugh. And the thing is it's not just anecdotal. There's time after time after time after time examples of people pointing out in a lineup or picking out of a series of pictures the wrong perpetrator of a crime against them. And so it's not that the person's trying to be a liar. I think it might have been Sean Hannity on his show where he played the audio, because it was on the radio show, the audio of a woman describing what happened to her. She was savagely raped by this guy, and she described it in great detail, and she went on into the detail of going to the cops, telling them what the person looked like. The sketch artist made a sketch. They found the guy. They brought him in. She looked at him and said, "That's definitely the guy. That's him. He went to prison for like 15 years, or maybe it was 20 years. It was a really long time." And then years later, DNA technology had come of age. They took all the evidence and redid it with the DNA testing. And not only were they able to prove that the guy that she sent to prison was totally innocent, but the DNA proved a totally different guy was actually her rapist. They arrested him. She looked at him and she said, "I have no idea who that is. I have never, this guy was a stranger. Wow. A stranger raped her." And this is just one. You say, "Oh, well, that's anecdotal. That happened one time." This actually happened a lot. This happened a lot. And I'm not saying it happens every single time, but it happens often enough that when a woman comes out with a 35-year-old accusation of something that wasn't even rape, and there's not only no evidence, but there's so many eyewitnesses that are like, "That was not Brett Kavanaugh."
Well, I'll put this to you. I ran into a girl from school that I haven't seen for over 35 years. And I had a crush on her.
Mm-hmm.
And not only did I have a crush on her, she had to tell me it was her. And I completely forgot all about her. And when I think about what she looked like back in school, I'm drawing up the only memories I have. I had a crush on this girl. I sat right.
You had a crush on her?
Yes. I sat right in front of her in math class. And she would dare me to throw things at the chalkboard, and I would.
Yeah.
Because that's what us guys do to get the attention of a girl. If she wants me to do so,
Right.
I'll do it.
Well, you dare Brian something, it's happening.
Well, back when I was a kid. Right. Just the attention.
Well, we'll put that to the test in DC. When we get to DC.
So anyways, I could not conjure the memory of her face. I just do remember she had long black hair and just she was well developed, if you will. And that was about it. Showed me a picture and I was like, oh my goodness, I forgot. I literally forgot what she looked like.
Until you saw the picture?
Until I saw the picture.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Wow, that's 35 years does a lot to the looks. I mean, you're like what do they say? Every single, this may be a fallacy, but I've heard this a lot before. Every single cell in your body has died after 7 years. Yeah. So every cell in your body that you had 7 years ago is gone and dead. Every cell. There might be a little bit of a play there, but it's interesting. You're a different person.
Back to the video of the insane protesters, and don't get me wrong, the Democrats love this. This is their base that they've got lit.
They trained this woman.
Yes.
They trained this woman through the Department of Education, through our public education system, through Common Core and whatnot, whatever the curricula is for a school that you're forced to go to. This woman was never taught the American principles of innocent until proven guilty and logic, that you can't prove a negative, which is the whole reason behind innocent before until proven guilty. And so when she says that he needs to prove his innocence, it's so un-American.
He says you can't prove a negative.
Right, because now Charlie just went right over her head. He's right.
She's lost. She doesn't even know. She doesn't even know what those words put together mean.
I know, but it's true. If you take logic, you know logic. Yeah. The name logic was the name of a class that most people took. It's actually a part of philosophy. So if you go into philosophy, there's a class that you would take called logic that was available for people in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s.
We ain't got no more logic.
Yeah, it was a very formal. It's actually called formal logic. And one of the things in formal logic, there's one of many, 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 many things, is you can't prove a negative.
Right.
And they're not even teaching this stuff anymore.
No. So her response and screaming back at him, your Republican talking points. Yeah, that's an easy cop-out. So what else you got to say?
Oh.
When somebody rapes you, you recognize their face.
No, we've already. I just told you guys. I just
doesn't
told you.
necessarily happen that way.
Yeah.
You recognize their face.
So I believe something happened to her, but I also believe in the presumption of his innocence. 35 years, she did not run into social circles.
That's why we have to have an investigation.
For 1 second, a changing narrative, 0 witnesses.
We have to and he didn't even answer a question about
she could say it was
blacked out. Open up that idea.
That he could have.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm so glad she said that. I was going to say this last week, or maybe it was during a scope this week. The idea that Kavanaugh could have blacked out, or that even better, that he did black out.
Right.
That narrative is critical because they have nothing. So what they're trying to do, the blackout scenario, is critical. If they can get Kavanaugh to either admit that he's ever blacked out before from drinking, or that he did in any case, or that they can find a friend of his that said, "Oh yeah, Kavanaugh blacked out once. I had to carry him home over my shoulder, whatever." Then they can insert anything. Oh, Kavanaugh murdered somebody.
Well,
how do we know?
He blacked out.
How do we?
He blacked out.
This part where he blacked out.
Yeah,
that's where he murdered.
That's where
somebody.
He killed him.
Anything you can make up any narrative you want, and it fits right in.
But the fact that
they're blacked out,
they're trying to attach themselves to the blackout proves
that they have nothing.
They got nothing.
Yeah, if you have to get somebody to admit that they've ever blacked out, so that you can say that it is theoretically possible that he was just minding his own business and being a good guy, blacked out, and performed rape on whoever, everybody. Raping everybody around here.
Everybody.
And then as soon as he came to, turned back into Dr. Jekyll And so he's no more Mr. Hyde. He's back into Dr. Jekyll, and he has no memory of it. This is what they're trying to do. This is the anatomy of a narrative in the Democrat Party. And so that's why you see this desperate attempt to get him to admit or to find a friend, a close friend of his or anybody that's ever known him to say, oh yeah, he blacked out before. He's a blackout person. By the way, I've drank before. I've gotten drunk before. I've gotten fall down drunk before. I've actually puked before. But I can tell you with absolute 100%, actually, I'm not a blackout type person. I do not black out.
That's good to know for when you run for Congress and the Senate. That's good to know that you don't black out.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll attest to it because I've never seen you black out.
Yeah, and like one of the first times I ever drank, I threw up because I had no idea how much I'm supposed to drink to get the effect. And it was weird. It was like I was drinking and I was like, well, this isn't doing anything to me. I need to drink more. So I drank more, not realizing that the effects are pretty delayed.
Oh, yeah, and then it starts to catch up.
Ten minutes and you're like, I'm not even feeling anything. That's because it's not in your bloodstream yet. So you get to a point where you're like, I don't know, I'm on my 6th, 7th shot. I'm starting to feel a little bit. Guess what? It's too late. You're going to puke.
Oh, yeah, it's way too late.
You're going to puke. And that's what happened. I was probably like 17 years old and whatnot. But here's the point. I've seen people black out before. I've experienced frank out. I've had one guy who was sitting there, heads down, looked like he was totally out. So we started talking about him.
Oh, no.
His name was Greg. We were like, man, what we can do about Greg? Oh, my gosh. And you know what he did? He said, I'm drunk. I'm not passed out. He screamed at us. So the idea that he would know whether or not he blacked out, I would be able to look right into, I'd take a lie detector test and say, no, I've never blacked out. I've never lost consciousness. So close I ever came to losing consciousness.
Obviously, we have a rapist in Lincoln Park. He's climbing in your windows. He's snatching your people up, trying to rape them. So y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband because they raping everybody out here.
Oh, gosh. What was his name? Antoine Dodson?
Yeah, Antoine Dodson.
Oh, they raping everybody around here.
The original Antoine.
So, yeah, I mean, the whole idea, people know if they've ever blacked out before. And you know, your friends know too. And it doesn't seem like anybody's coming forward against Kavanaugh. The guy's a good guy. You can't have a bunch of friends, an entire lifetime of history and experiences, and have this amount of lack of people coming forward to say, yeah, Kavanaugh's a drunk, or Kavanaugh blacks out, or blah, blah, blah.
68 women have signed a document saying that they know him. He's an honest guy. He's a great guy.
He doesn't rape everybody around here?
Not everybody.
Not everybody.
And not only that, but the fact still remains. Hindsight's 50. Nobody, everyone that she has pointed out that says they were there, they know about this, they know, my best friend knows about this, everybody knows about it. Everybody is denied. Said, nope, I have no idea what she's talking about. Nobody.
There you go.
She's nobody.
Now did you hear the new narrative?
She pointed those people out, and all those people said she cray-cray. I don't know.
Did you hear what the new narrative is on that?
Uh-oh.
So apparently the witnesses, all the witnesses that she said were there that could testify that this all happened, it's all true, and this party happened, blah, blah, blah. They all came forward and said, I have no memory of this. The new narrative is, not remembering it is not the same as it didn't happen.
Oh,
yes,
man.
That's the new narrative. And here's the thing. I mean, how do you say?
Hold on. A tree falls in the woods. Does it make a sound?
Right. So, no, that's a good point. Brian just made a perfect point there. If Brian leaves the studio right now.
Right. Like I'm going to. I'll be back.
And he goes and he murders his neighbor.
I'm back. I just murdered my neighbor.
And somebody says, Carrie, they say you were there. I could say I have no recollection of Brian going to murder somebody. Yeah, we did a show together, and we dipped in and out, for breaks or whatnot. But I have no memory of him. Now, I couldn't say I know for a fact that he did not murder somebody because It's possible that one time that he ran out real quick and he said he had to use the bathroom or whatever or get a drink, he could have murdered somebody. But I don't have to say that. All I have to say is I have no knowledge and no memory of him murdering anybody. So the point I'm trying to make is that if they didn't see it, they can't say it happened.
Right.
And you got all these witnesses that the accuser is saying that they're eyewitnesses, they can say it happened. One of the reasons Mark Judge is not even testifying to Congress is because he thought about it and said, what am I going to be able to tell them other than, I mean, if they're going to ask me questions about this thing that I have no recollection of.
I'm sorry, I'm not
even going. And by the way, he's been battling cancer for years. You know, Peter Jennings died.
Yes.
Do you know what happened to him? He was a smoker, and I don't know if he had a history of battling cancer. As far as I know, he didn't. But he quit smoking, and he quit for like 10 solid years. 9/11 happened, and he was like, I need a stress reliever. I'm totally stressed out. Give me the cigarettes. And he started smoking. Within, I think, less than 2 years, he was dead of lung cancer. Now, some people say, oh, my gosh, he started smoking again, dies of lung cancer because of 9/11, blah, blah, blah. 90% of that was probably the stress.
Oh, I'm sure.
90%
Absolutely.
Of it. Now, he started smoking because of the stress, but being under stress will cause you to get sick.
Well, being under stress will also create, I'm not going to get too crazy, but create free radicals and break down your cells. And then
that's what causes it.
Causes the cancer. Yeah.
Right. And here's the thing.
When it takes, once you get upset and emotional, like almost crying and a fight, they say it takes 24 hours for your cells to repair themselves after that.
Oh, wow. I totally get that.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. For Mark Judge to be battling cancer like that and have nothing to say other than I don't remember any of this and to know what kind of stress it's going to put him through, I think that for his own life, for his own family, for his own loved ones, this was the right thing to just go basically into hiding and act like it's not happening.
Right.
I mean, because we're talking about somebody that's like constantly battling cancer.
So real quick, this has kind of popped up over Saturday weekend. This was posted on Twitter from the committee on the Judiciary. For immediate release, September 29th, 2018, Saturday, Washington, the State Judiciary Committee today referred for criminal investigation apparent false statements made to the committee investigators alleging misconduct by Judge Brett Kavanaugh. In a letter to the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, FBI Christopher Wray, Chairman Chuck Grassley sought a criminal review of the actions by a named individual who provided Congress with the information diverting committee resources from an ongoing investigation. Now, what that means is it means they either believe or have proof that somebody lied to them.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. And this is actually an accuser that's not one of the three that we've been talking about for the past week and a half or so. This is a fourth person that came forward to say, I've been raped. He's raping everybody around here.
I mean, number 3 has been discredited. Number 2 has been dropped. These things are dropping off like flies. It's not even... It's not even. It is so Michael Avenatti, the creepy porn lawyer, up on this thing, trying to insert himself in the middle of all this.
Okay,
got trolled by 4chan.
or so we think. So he produced the accusation.
Woman? Oh.
Well, here's the accusation. Yeah. By the way, I'm glad you brought that up because I have a theory on that.
Okay.
So here's the story about the 4chan. So Michael Avenatti spent days and days and days, almost a whole week saying, I've got another accuser. I'm going to bring her forward. She's going to come and testify 48 hours, blah, blah, blah. And at the 11th hour, right before he was talking about how she was going to come forward and she was going to testify and all this stuff.
Blow it wide open.
4chan comes out with a post that was very believable that talks about what what this person did to Michael Avenatti, that they presented a 51-year-old woman. They called her a stripper, I think.
Yeah.
And she's been trolling him and all this kind of stuff. And the internet blew up. Everybody blew up. So check this out. The next day, Michael Avenatti produces an accuser. I read her statement, and her statement was so convoluted. and the statement was full of mistakes.
You know what? I know where you're going with this. And I will agree with you 100%.
Don't get ahead of me.
I know Carrie that well.
Don't get ahead of me.
I'll get ahead.
It was not notarized. So this wasn't even a legal document at this point. Who knows who wrote this thing or who read? And it was so riddled with like fallacies, mistakes, logical errors, and non-admissions and all this kind of stuff that my theory, breaking news, Carrie Smith's theory, is that 4chan actually did troll Michael Avenatti.
And Michael Avenatti pulled somebody out of the woodwork to make it look like he was trolled.
And I'm not going to take full credit. Here's what jogged my brain into believing that he actually was trolled. I'm listening to Sean Hannity, and he had a guest on. I can't remember who it was exactly, but he said, this statement by Michael Avenatti's client looks like it was thrown together in with no, without any forethought, just thrown together and thrown out there. And I thought to myself, Michael Avenatti had over a week, and this statement is not very long. I think it's 3 simple one-sided pages, very quick, very very simple, and it was horrible. There's an expert lawyer calling it thrown together. I started thinking to myself, my gosh, 4chan might have actually trolled this guy. And Michael Avenatti, remember he didn't delete his account. He put his account on private.
Locked out.
Right after 4chan. And he blocked Jack Posobiec.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he blocked Jack
that's
Posobiec.
Funny.
So I'm starting to think that this was a way to save his career, because he would be so done if 4chan actually pulled it off. And I think this is a way to drag himself out of a big pickle.
Right. So the other thing, Ford's fly lie. Remember when she said she's got a fear of flying? She can't fly.
That was such a lie.
Under oath, she admits she's a world traveler.
So it was clearly an attempt to buy time. We know what's going on here. What's going on here? We're not talking about Avenatti's client. We're talking about the star accuser. Christine Ford or Christine Blasey or I don't even know. Is it a hyphenated? I never see it hyphenated, but people are calling her Christine Blasey.
Ballsy.
Well, it's BLA.
Yeah, Ballsy.
That would be BAL.
She is Christine Ballsy Ford.
I think it's Blasey.
Well, she's awful ballsy.
Okay. I don't think I never see it hyphenated, but some people leave the Ford off, and some people call her Miss Ford. So I don't know what the heck is going on, but so she testified this week. What do you got?
Megyn Kelly.
Yeah.
Democrats should be happy that this is not going to a trial. Yeah, you Democrats would be humiliated.
Yeah.
And by the way, one of the girls, I think it's the second or the third accuser, boyfriend currently has a restraining order on. Oh, it's the third one. The boyfriend has a restraining order currently on the third accuser, the one that you were saying that Michael Avenatti brought out.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. You could just see the look on her face. Have you seen the picture?
She need to get paid.
She's one of these people that you're just like, do not mess with her. Did you see the screenshots of her? Apparently, she's on a dating site.
Is that really her? Face down on the picnic table?
Oh no, I haven't seen that.
Oh, there's one where she's in just like a thong, laying face down on a picnic table where she's passed out.
Okay. No, I have not seen that, but I've seen screenshots. Basically, what I saw was she's on a dating site, and apparently this dating site allows you to leave reviews.
Wow!
And say, type in what you thought of this person. Some of them were damning.
Ooh.
Yeah, saying that she's psycho, stay away from this woman, she does this, that, and the other thing, and she's crazy. Lots of people saying some, and I looked at the dates. These entries were put in like a while ago. So these are not like trolls that are logging
just
in.
Just recent, right.
And saying nasty things about her just because they don't like the accusations. These are things that people had determined about her before she become famous. So
something else that's come out back in 2012, she claims that she told her therapist for the first time, about something that had happened when she was a youth. The therapist does not have the name written down, had 4 boys written down. Her story was originally 2 boys, changed to 3 boys, and then under oath it was 4 boys to corroborate with her what her therapist accidentally wrote down. And why does this all make sense? And the name was never brought up. I believe that she was probably assaulted in some way, whether it be just fooling, tomfoolery, whatever it be. Definitely wasn't Brett Kavanaugh, but she told her therapist this a month after Mitt Romney released his short list of judges he would nominate.
Mitt Romney?
Yes, and Brett Kavanaugh was on Mitt Romney's short list. She claims that she got nervous when Brett Kavanaugh was on Trump's short list, and that's why she had to come out, which wasn't true, which I've told you before, that Brett Kavanaugh was produced by the GOP and said, Trump, if you want a confirmation by September, this is your man. What this all means.
Yeah, what does this mean to you? Because
to me, it means
I didn't never hear about
to me,
that.
it means that she's been part of the Democrat Party, part of the fringe left.
She is. We knew that.
For a long time. She wore the pussy hat and everything. So she's part of that fringe group that's in deep, being paid for. And apparently she's raised millions of dollars off of this. She's currently worth millions of dollars before this. And this was her way of producing damaging evidence on Brett Kavanaugh in 2012. She would have brought this story up then on purpose during Barack Obama's reign, if he had lost his reign of terror, and Mitt Romney had won, and he had that option. It was her thing.
So this is something that's been in the works for a long time, and it worked out perfect because Trump could have picked anybody, but he picked Kavanaugh.
And I hate to say this. I don't know. I'm torn on the idea, the theory that I have. Either
because I have
the uniparty.
I have a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, here's my conspiracy theory. Either the uniparty is in bed with the Dems, and we
know that
they slipped the name Brett Kavanaugh to him because they could pull this off.
Okay.
Or the Republicans said, you know what? I'm sick and tired of these Dems tricking us. They keep pulling. Now, this is a stretch. Lindsey Graham, they keep pulling the football out from underneath the feet, and I can't kick the ball, and I'm angry. So they slipped us this name. I'll tell you what, y'all going down in flames. We're going to do this on purpose because this is going to expose you, and you're going down in flames. That's my 2 theories. Other than that, I don't know. What is your idea?
It's not my idea, but I can't name the name because it's really half-baked.
Oh,
it's a half-baked theory. There's the proof is probably out there somewhere, but nobody's been able to totally nail this down yet. But the source I heard this from is very reliable. But he says if I had proof, I would run with this, but. Right now, I can only discuss it with you guys, and I'll discuss it with you guys. So for the people that have stayed on this long with the show, you are going to be rewarded. Okay, so here's the theory, or the belief, and I believe that there might be evidence of this out there somewhere that people are working on right now. Here is the theory. So she goes to couples therapy with her husband, and that was the first place she brought up what had happened to her in the past. Does anybody wonder why? Does anybody wonder why they went to couples therapy in the first place? Why would somebody go to couples therapy?
Oh, because they're having problems in their marriage.
Okay, so what caused them to have problems in their marriage?
She's a little rough. Oh, she wanted a second door on the front of their house because she was claustrophobic because she was raped in a house that was one door. Did you hear that? That was true.
Okay, so she says she was raped, but what prompted them to go to couples therapy? Come to find out, this is a theory. I think there's some substantiation to this, but we can't run with it totally. So I'm just throwing that out there as a caveat. She cheated on him.
Oh, right. Wow. Well,
And
what if
so-
he cheated on her, though?
No, she cheated on him. And so to save the marriage, they decided, well, instead of going our separate way, getting divorced, whatever, let's try to work this out. We'll go to couples therapy. While there, she decided to make up the sexual abuse in
to blame it?
order
Oh, yes!
to blame it on the problem that led to her cheating on him. That way, she could take the heat off of herself for cheating and the guy that she cheated on him with, and put it on somebody that he's not going to do nothing about, some really powerful lawyer guy, some really powerful judge. He's not going to be able to do nothing about it, and explain it all away. And so she made it up to prevent, or basically to smooth everything over with her husband. Fast forward to...
So this guy who mentioned that, this person who mentioned this to you is credible normally.
Normally, right? But
he did say
he said we can't run with it yet or whatever. So
because we don't have hardcore evidence.
We can't connect every dot. But this is a theory. This is a working theory right now. So she cheated on him, and she's basically trying to divert all the tension from where they want it to be or away from where she wants it to be, where he wants it, onto this crazy, really all powerful judge guy that she had a connection with back in the day. And it wasn't totally made up out of whole cloth. Who's really powerful, the most powerful person that is actually in her past? It would be Brett Kavanaugh.
Oh, right.
So that's where that name would have popped up. So here's where it gets crazy. Brett Kavanaugh gets selected, or is on the short list of people who would be picked for the Supreme Court. If the husband is also a leftist, he would demand, and also as talk about white knighting, talk about getting even, he would want to make himself feel better for having been the victim of being cheated on because her wife was abused as a child or as a youngster by Brett Kavanaugh. It would make him feel like he has come full circle and made everything right by undermining his selection as Supreme Court Justice if he urged his wife to tell on him.
Right. And somebody said in the message group said, what woman goes to testify about a rape incident on Capitol Hill and the husband doesn't go with her? I didn't know that he wasn't there, but I don't know that he was there.
Right. We cannot falsify that assertion. We cannot falsify that assertion.
I did not see any news media confirm him being there. He wasn't there by her side visually, but he might have been there. I don't know.
Real Rocky McAlley says Kavanaugh's mom was the judge on the parents' foreclosure case. That has since been thrown away as because the judge ruled in their favor, so there's not like a motive. The idea of that story is that, they have motive to get even. I
totally forgot about that.
Yeah, it turns out that the judge in that case ruled in their favor, so it doesn't make sense for that fact to be a motive to get even because they ruled in their favor. So
here's the liberal talking head media, Jimmy Kimmel, confirm him. Then cut his penis off.
How is this being allowed? And by the way, free speech purist right here. I'm okay with that, but I'm just saying.
If somebody attacks him and cuts his penis off, I think that Jimmy Kimmel should go to jail for that. Or suffer something.
Yeah.
It's like the mob telling me to go put a hit on you.
Hold on.
And the mobster goes to jail too, Carrie. Come on.
No. Did Jimmy Kimmel offer a contract for that?
Yeah, he just said it.
Did he offer money for it?
Well, if you did it, you could go back to him
and offer and ask for money. Like, hey, I cut it
Jimmy,
off.
I did it. I cut it. Here it is in a box.
Oh,
the movie what was it? 7.
That or Friday. In Friday, Big Worm said, "I'll cut your ball off and hand them to you, partner."
He sure did.
Yes.
Didn't he?
So anyway,
Mitch McConnell grew a pair. He got up on the Senate
Speaking
floor.
of handing them to you.
Mitch McConnell grew a pair. It's quite long, so I didn't want to get into it.
Okay.
But
4 minutes.
But I do want to get into. Oh, this has to be heard.
Okay.
This is Mitch McConnell.
Let's make it happen.
Folks, Rush Limbaugh said it. I've said it. We've all said it. We all see it. If the GOP does not confirm Kavanaugh, the Republicans will guaranteed. I'm just guaranteeing you.
Well, not only did the Republicans,
they will lose 2018.
Not only do they lose 2018, but where do we go from there?
Right.
Where do we go from there?
Okay, so then Trump nominates another person. Well, it doesn't matter. The Democrats hold the House and the Senate, and now you'll never get nobody through. And this is their aim. Right. Their end goal is to hold it off until 2020 and defeat Trump so that there'll be open seats everywhere for them to fill.
Yeah, and the senators that are being wishy-washy on this, they're actually worried that somehow voting the wrong way or doing the wrong thing is going to cost them their election, this election cycle. We need to probably call these people, call their offices in D.C. and tell them not only are they do they want to urge these senators to vote to confirm Kavanaugh, but everybody they know does not believe the accuser. They stand behind Kavanaugh. The only people who are sounding off and saying that Kavanaugh's a rapist and that they believe the accuser are activists on the left. Very active activists. I'm
just like the crazy women, the two girls that attacked Jeff Flake. To get this thing going into another investigation.
Turns out to be Soros people.
Turns out to be Soros people.
So either paid, and it's real cynical to say, "Oh, where are you getting your money from?" Or "Oh, you're funded by Soros. You're a shill." That's just I hate getting all cynical like that.
But this is true.
I know it is kind of true, and that's unfortunate that even telling you the truth makes us sound extremely cynical.
Right,
that's a shame.
So Tucker Carlson went scorched earth on ballless Republicans.
Yeah.
If GOP cared, they'd protect you and Kavanaugh. They don't care. That's by Tucker. Tucker had a scathing review of the Republicans. However, like I was saying, and this was huge.
I think they're worried that the Republicans are going to cave on this.
Well, Graham came out, and your dad had a theory about what Graham's doing, and I'll bring that up to you. Graham came out and actually just destroyed the Democrats. SNL made fun of him like there was nobody's business. Completely ridiculed him. Low T, no T, nut job. But this was Graham. Which, I got choked up when I heard this. So I want to play this because I believe that the leadership in the GOP is starting to head with Graham and starting to move this way because they can't take it anymore. And Graham, according to your father, Graham is a changed man.
Yeah, but he was for amnesty. Remember Grahamnesty? Is he still for amnesty? I think that needs to be asked.
He's the changed man because his best friend died.
That wasn't his best friend. That was the guy that was blackmailing him. What do you think he's changed? The guy blackmailing him died.
Right. And all those papers and pictures and stuff, they all have disappeared.
We need props. Where is the yellow envelope with the string?
Manila. Not yellow.
Oh, Manila.
Manila
Pull it out and it will pull the black and white pictures out. We need to have that prop. Somebody send that to us. P.O. Box 11533, Cincinnati, Ohio 45211.
Yep. And this is Lindsey Graham. This is the new face of the GOP.
Are you aware that at 9:23 on the night of July the 9th, the day you were nominated to the Supreme Court by President Trump, Senator Schumer said, 23 minutes after your nomination, "I will oppose Judge Kavanaugh's nomination with everything I have. I have a bipartisan, and I hope a bipartisan majority will do the same. The stakes are simply too high for anything less." Well, if you weren't aware of it, you are now. Did you meet with Senator Dianne Feinstein on August 20th?
I did meet with Senator Feinstein.
Did you know that her staff had already recommended a lawyer to Dr. Ford?
I did not know that.
Did you know that her and her staff had this allegations for over 20 days?
I did not know that at the time.
If you wanted an FBI investigation, you could have come to us. What you want to do is destroy this guy's life, hold this seat open, and hope you win in 2020. You've said that, not me.
The Democrats.
You've got nothing to apologize for. When you see Sotomayor and Kagan, tell them that Lindsay said hello.
Okay, I have to translate for you. He said, when you see Sotomayor and Kagan, justices, tell them I said hello.
Right. That's what I mean.
He
slurred it a little bit because he's angry and he just kind of threw it out there.
And that's where he's from, though. That's his accent. That's normal. Say hello. Okay, I'm sorry.
Because I voted for them. I would never do to them what you've done to this guy. This is the most unethical sham since I've been in politics. And if you really wanted to know the truth, you sure as hell wouldn't have done what you've done to this guy. Are you a gang rapist?
No.
I cannot imagine what you and your family have gone through. Boy, y'all want power. God, I hope you never get it. I hope the American people can see through this sham. That you knew about it and you held it. You had no intention of protecting Dr. Ford. None. She's as much of a victim as you are. God, I hate to say it because these have been my friends. But let me tell you, when it comes to this, you're looking for a fair process. You came to the wrong town at the wrong time, my friend. Do you consider this a job interview?
The advice and consent role is like a job
interview. You consider that you've been through a job interview?
I've been through a process of advice and consent under the Constitution.
Would you say you've been through hell?
I've been through hell and then some.
This is not a job interview.
Yeah.
This is hell.
This
is going to destroy the ability of good people to come forward because of this crap. Your high school yearbook. You have interacted with professional women all your life, not one accusation. You're supposed to be Bill Cosby when you're a junior and senior in high school. And all of a sudden you got over it. It's been my understanding that if you drug women and rape them for 2 years in high school, you probably don't stop. Here's my understanding. If you lived a good life, people would recognize it, like the American Bar Association has the gold standard. His integrity is absolutely unquestioned. He is the very circumspect in his personal conduct, harbors no biases or prejudices. He's entirely ethical, is a really decent person. He is warm, friendly, unassuming. He's the nicest person. The ABA. The one thing I can tell you, you should be proud of. Ashley, you should be proud of this. That you raised a daughter who had the good character to pray for Dr. Ford. To my Republican colleagues, if you vote no, you're legitimizing the most despicable thing I have seen in my time in politics. You want this seat? I hope you never get it. I hope you're on the Supreme Court. That's exactly where you should be. And I hope that the American people will see through this charade. And I wish you well, and I intend to vote for you, and I hope everybody who's fair-minded will.
So let me just comment by saying,
bravo.
Bravo. Lindsay, you've just won re-election.
Yeah. What? Where's everybody else? They should be angry as Graham. Did they decide, well, we'll let you be angry, Graham, and everybody else just shut up? I mean, they should all be outraged. If Lindsey Graham is going to benefit from acting like that and reacting, I should say, to what's been going on the way that he has, then where are the rest of them? Susan Collins and Jeff Flake and all these, they should be getting up there and getting angry. I used to put Lindsey Graham in the same group as your McCain's, your Collins, the Collins and all these people. McConnell.
McConnell took to the floor, and McConnell got his emotionally angry, but he used some very, very strong words and really laid into the Democrats for like 18 minutes. I couldn't play that here.
Right.
But just real quick before I forget, he made the comment, Ashley, Judge Kavanaugh's daughter, young daughter.
I think Ashley's the wife.
Oh, Ashley's proud that his young daughter said when they were saying their prayers at night. He got choked up when he's told everybody this. I get choked up thinking about it, that his daughter said, 10-year-old daughter said, Daddy, we should pray for that woman. And you talk about some wisdom from a 10-year-old. This is what tells you, this is what allows you to see the insight into his character, into his family, into who he is, that his 10-year-old daughter said, let's pray for that woman.
Right.
That's it, folks. That is it. It's over. Done. GOP.
Did you hear about Jeff Flake's son?
Oh, you posted that this morning. Folks, I don't know what in the Sam hell is going on.
Yeah.
But you want to tell the story?
Yeah, somebody just posted something about Jeff Flake's son and the way it was worded. I don't want to repeat exactly what the words were because I thought it was a little harsh, but I was like, what the heck are they talking about? So I clicked on it, and it was a report with a YouTube video included in the report of Jeff Flake's son, who was probably, about 12, 13, 14? I don't know, somewhere
young.
Somewhere in that range. Very, very young, but not a little kid. With a gun, and he cocked it and he put it to his head and
and the report was like he was using all kinds of epithets, the N-word.
Right. Well, the N-word thing, I'm not sure if it was in the same video, but people were saying that he also did, and I'm not sure if it was the same video or not.
I'm just going with what the reporter said.
Okay.
N-word, epithets, Jew stuff.
What do you
things.
know, Brian, when children use these racist terms?
Oh, I'm glad you asked.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Because I retweeted your tweet with a comment.
Okay.
My comment and the news reporters were blaming technology and social media, blaming everything except for Jeff Flake's son. And Jeff Flake's son should take all the blame. 100% personal responsibility. He should take the blame for what he did.
Mm-hmm.
However, that is not something that just happens. You've got to learn that. My daughters, my son, would never,
I would venture to guess that it's possible that your kids have never heard the N-word, ever. I would venture to guess. I might be wrong about that, but because they could have overheard a rap song being played or something like that. So I don't know, but it seems to me like it would not surprise me to find out that they had never heard that word in their life.
We are on a soccer team with inner city public school kids.
Okay.
Of the darker skin persuasion, and they dropped the N-bomb on a few regular occasions. I had to explain to the kids. I said, "That's all. It's all. It's okay. It's okay." And my boy, the 4-year-old, said to my mom and my brother, FM.
Oh,
dropped a big giant.
The MFer.
Yeah, MFer.
Okay.
And that was because of this 6-year-old who goes around saying it regularly. And at the soccer field, and it's because his parents use those words.
Right.
And so I had to tell my son. I said, no. He got really embarrassed, really upset. I said, no, bro. I'm just letting you know. You're not in trouble. It's okay. You don't want you can't use that word.
Right.
Don't do that ever again.
Right.
And he said, okay, I won't.
And how would he know? He just hears some friends say it.
Right. He didn't know no better. That's all right.
Wow.
I'm not mad.
So you have soccer players around your daughters that are dropping the N-bomb?
N-bomb and the F-bomb.
Wow.
And it's because of this one family. One family that seems to be fatherless. And she's got multiple sons, and they run crazy.
Wow. So I was wrong. Apparently they have been indoctrinated into the chaos.
Which is good. That's fine. It's
yeah,
good.
No, it's true. You don't want them to be totally sheltered.
Right. Now I want to slowly roll it out and slowly unfold these things. They say that the longer that you can help keep your child's innocence, the better off they are when it comes to sexuality when they're older. The longer you can help keep their innocence, the better off they'll be when they're older. So that's what we're shooting for on that. But with that being said, yeah, Jeff Flake's son, I'm sorry. There's a parenting thing going on. Jeff Flake did apologize, but Jeff Flake may have been spending too much time on Capitol Hill, and I don't know.
Who knows? There's something going on there, and that he needs to address that. Maybe that's part of the reason why he's getting out of the Senate.
A very good possibility.
That he
absolutely.
can focus more on the family issues that obviously need a lot of focus on.
Before we forget, update. Just here came out breaking news. The Republicans were doxxed. If you don't know what doxxed means, it means that somebody finds your address, your phone number, your name, and spread that out on the internet. So apparently Republicans were doxxed, and the Republicans are thoroughly angered at this. And so they got to the bottom of it, trying to find out where the doxing was coming from. And at Mike Tokes, Mike, T-O-K-E-S, update, the update, IP address of the person who doxed the GOP senators points to Maxine Waters' office. Maxine Waters denies the charge.
Mm-hmm.
Update. Mike Tokes. I have reached out to Kathleen Segstock, the Maxine Waters staffer who is associated with the House of Representatives IP address used to dox the Republican senators.
Okay.
She was very nervous on the phone. She said she is not authorized to comment and said to call Maxine Waters' PR office.
Okay, all right. That sounds a little suspicious, but nothing too out of the ordinary.
Right. So I hope somebody get the full extent of the law to do this. You guys, you're not going to win with this. This is not a winning strategy, and I don't care. Keep it up, but the blood is on your hands when some crazed nut job goes after senators out practicing baseball. It's on you, Bernie Sanders. It's on you, Maxine Waters.
Right.
Calling for violence.
Yeah, they've been doing that, and that is they need to take responsibility for the stuff that they say. And, we heard that when they were talking about the confirmation hearing, that the words that you guys are using have consequences that are just really bad for the country. It harms the country. It harms the Senate. It harms the Supreme Court. To this day, how many years has it been? 30 years or so since they tried to destroy Clarence Thomas. And we're still hearing about Anita Hill and about how she could have been a victim or that she was a victim or whatever. And she's going around getting rich off of her victimhood.
She's back out now. She's back out now again.
And of course they're asking her to comment on the Kavanaugh thing. And why should she? If she's a real victim, we know that Kavanaugh did not victimize these people, or at least we there's no evidence of it. And it seems very suspect. And I think that common sense shows that the Democrats are just carting these people out to do whatever they can to try to prevent Donald Trump from executing the office of President of the United States. That's what it really boils down to. This is all an effort. It has nothing to do with Kavanaugh.
No.
Nothing.
No, it has to do with the videos of James O'Keefe exposing the deep state from stopping Trump.
Right. That's
all it is.
It's all about preventing him from being the president, from executing the office of the presidency, and they're doing these step by step to float it for 4 years, of course, they're assuming that no way Donald Trump wins in 2020.
They really believe that he will not win 2020.
Right, and they believe it more firmly than that he will not win in 2016, which they were dead wrong about. And they're doing these things every single time they come out with something. It is a part of the master plan to get to the next level. Imagine it's a big old video game where the prize, the end of the video game, if it's Super Mario Brothers, it's level 8-4 is January 21st or 20th or whatever day the inauguration is of 2021, they're just going to keep stepping. They're going to get incrementally to that date where when that date comes, they can look back and say, yes, we prevented Donald Trump from doing anything that a president of the United States is authorized and required to do. And that's what they're doing.
It's like Donkey Kong, and they're treating and they're saying that Donald Trump is Donkey Kong, and they're the innocent hero attempting to jump over all these awful things that Trump is throwing at them, and they will depose Trump. Once we get to the top,
really are.
We'll get rid of him.
Donald Trump is Mario, and they are the ones throwing the barrels down. And each one of those barrels is to try to keep him from getting to the top.
Right.
Or even moving forward at all.
Right. And so real quick, so we don't forget about this, again, I mentioned James O'Keefe. James O'Keefe on Tuesday, Project Veritas rolled out its 4th undercover video of its Deep State Unmasking series. The individual that they were filming said on film, "I don't give a S if it's a crime," which means they don't care. It's by hook or by crook.
What would motivate somebody to say, you know what? I'm putting my freedom for a long time on the line. What would motivate somebody to do that? I think, see if Brian agrees with me on this, I think that failing at this will land them in prison.
Yes.
I think it's like, do I definitely go to prison, or do I fight like hell and break all kinds of laws to prevent from going to prison?
Right.
I think that they're fighting for their freedom. They're freedom fighters.
Oh, man.
I think that they need to win at all costs to prevent themselves from being discovered doing things that would land them in prison, which makes sense why they would break the law to do so.
Right. So the latest undercover video exposes 2 IRS officials bragging about targeting conservative groups and saying, "I don't give a S if that's a crime." The 2 officials in the report are Thomas Sheehy, Sheehy, a member, IRS tax examiner and a member of the Austin Democrat Socialist of America in Texas, and Jerry Simek, an IRS attorney in D.C. Simasek. She boasts about the appearance to justify former disgraced IRS Commissioner John Costigan, who was mirrored in the scandal for losing tens of thousands of the lowest learner emails.
Losing?
He lost 10,000 emails. Well, this guy says, I know that was such a joke because, he deleted those.
Right.
He deleted them.
that.
He said he lost them, but he really deleted them.
I can't believe we're playing this game where we know, using common sense and logical deduction, we know what happened, and yet we're having to run down all the evidence to prove what we already know. And here we have, I hate to have to say this because I think that what James O'Keefe is doing is just, wow, it is so necessary. He is doing. He's who's the guy that 2 if by sea, 1 if by land, 2 if by sea that run
Paul Revere.
Yeah, he is like almost like the modern day Paul Revere doing this stuff. It's absolutely necessary to save our country. What he is doing is necessary to save the country. However, when we hear what he gets on his hidden videos, we're like, we already knew that. We knew all this stuff. But it's critical that he got it on tape because we could tell you till we're blue in the face that we know it's happening.
And you wouldn't believe us.
Yeah, I mean, without the video, it's just us telling you based on our own expert opinion. And so it kind of reminds me of the first big video that came out where he uncovered the plan by the Democrats to steal the election through a massive nationwide voter fraud scheme.
Right.
The Sunday, he came out with that on a Monday. It was right before the election. The Sunday before he came out with that video we had our super secret special
top secret
guest on, who laid out that entire scenario.
And with my knowledge of corporate structuring, it could have easily been done. We went down the road of how to do it.
The whole thing was completely plausible, completely doable. We told you what they could do, and we were like, wow, this is dangerous. The next day, James O'Keefe came out with video with Democrats telling you that they were going to do what we told you they could do. Yeah. But so he gets all the glory, not only because he has the proof.
Well, we had theory.
We had theory that they could do this. He had proof that they were actually trying this. So that's why. So it was interesting. Now he has all these videos where we're like, yeah, we knew that they were doing this, but he has the proof, and so his efforts are so important. His work
absolutely.
He's a national treasure.
As we are here on the ground, Donald Trump is doing the same thing up at the higher echelons of the government. And to end this on a very happy note, winning GDP growth unrevised. Again, after the GDP numbers come out a few weeks later, they're revised, and the final numbers are finalized. Under Barack Obama, they were always revised down because you bury that story on page 16. Unemployment always revised down, or the different way, the wrong way. Bury that story. But Donald Trump's GDP growth unrevised at a strong 4.2%. So it's a fact. The country grew, the GDP, gross domestic product, grew at a 4.2% rate in the second quarter, reminding you that 66% of the GDP is made up of consumer spending. Consumer spending before the summer was huge. And Carrie and I were talking about this on the way back. You wait for this Christmas.
Oh, it's going to be the best. It's going to be the best Christmas ever.
Ever.
Because think about it. The department stores are going to be loaded because they know that there's going to be people with a lot more money, a lot more people with more money to be able to buy gifts and stuff. They're also going to decorate more.
Here, read Donald Trump's tweet.
Consumer confidence rose in September, notching its highest level in about 18 years. The Consumer Board's index rose to 138.4 this month from 134.7 in August. So we have consumer confidence rising, and the
18-year high. That was before 9/11, man.
Retailers are going to be out in force.
It's huge.
They're going to decorate. There's going to be a lot more Christmas spirit. We have a president and an entire administration that's not afraid to use the word
Merry Christmas, y'all.
Christmas, so that'll be there. Going back real quick to James O'Keefe, somebody said that James O'Keefe, let me read it, that he he did a lot of voter fraud stuff. None of it stuck because it isn't true. Well, here's the thing. The reason the voter fraud stuff didn't happen is because James O'Keefe uncovered it. He has them. And these aren't just random Democrat
voters.
These
guys actually stepped down from what they were doing or fired.
These people had the authority and the position to be able to pull this off. James O'Keefe saved the country by uncovering the voter fraud. The fact that it didn't happen is thanks to James O'Keefe. And they also went on to say he's been sued. He's been sued but almost every one of his recent reports have led to major news outlets to have to retract all kinds of fake news.
You can sue anybody for anything, so don't tell me sue. Yeah. Suing is just...
We heard the words coming out of the people's mouth. Right. You don't need... There's no suit about it. And also people are saying it's highly edited. Well, he offers all of the raw footage.
Right. You got to edit it.
Don't be a liar. Don't be a liar.
Hundreds of hours of stuff.
Right.
So what has Trump been doing this entire week while the media and the Democrats have been losing their mind, triggered as all get out? Trump and Japan's aid pursuing U.S.-Japan trade agreement. U.S.-Korea free trade agreement signing ceremony. Welcome President of Egypt to the United States this afternoon in New York. Great meeting. Welcome President Emmanuel Macron of France to the United States here in New York this evening. Fed Chair. I wanted to read this one first. Hold on. Trump may discuss big and ambitious Brexit trade deal with Germany, and Trump rejected Prime Minister Soy Boy Trudeau's meeting over refusal to negotiate Canadian dairy tariffs.
They're going to lose this.
400% tariffs.
They're going to lose big time because we outproduce them.
Right. The Fed Chair Jay Powell, tariffs aren't hurting the economy and they're not raising consumer prices.
That was what the big problem was, that they thought
the sky's falling.
If we have a trade war where we're going back and forth with another country, well, oh, you raise that tariff, well, we'll raise this tariff, well, we'll raise this tariff, and it keeps going back and forth. Well, these tariffs cost the consumer at the end of the line. It keeps going up and up and up. Problem is that we produce enough on our own or can in the future to offset the fact that buying from overseas is going to cost us more money. So we win, and they can't keep up with us taxing their goods because we outproduce
capitalism.
Other country. Yeah.
Capitalism wins. And real quick, this by Judge Janine, and a little recap of just a couple minute recap of Donald Trump's big MAGA meetup. Folks, these things are huge.
You watched it here live. The President of the United States fired up a packed crowd in Wheeling, West Virginia, in another raucous rally, taking on his opponents and touting a long list of accomplishments. Here are some of the highlights.
But a vote for Judge Kavanaugh is also a vote to reject the ruthless and outrageous tactics of the Democrat Party. Mean obstructionists, mean resistors. For the last 18 months, Democrats have spent every minute trying to overturn the results of the last election. We had one of the great, every day it's like a job. It's like part of your job description. Get up and fight them. Honestly, the Democrats are a disgrace. They are. They're a disgrace. And the number one enabler of the Democrats is the fake news media right back there. I'll tell you. When I say and come out with very, very strong statements about media, I'm talking about the fake news media. They are truly an enemy of the people.
Wow.
The fake news, enemy of the people. They
Enemy
really
of the
are.
people.
They are so bad. You don't even get it. You'd think they'd like low taxes. You'd think they'd like a strong military, no crime, strong borders. They don't. They don't. This November 6th, you have a chance to reject these disgraceful political hacks. But you can only do it. You got to vote Republican. I mean, we have good people.
Straight down the line.
They have been taken so far left, where Pocahontas is now considered a conservative in the Democrat Party. She's like a conservative person. Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren, she's considered like a conservative person. These people, they've gone crazy. They've gone loco. How about Cory Booker? Did you watch the performance? He ran Newark, New Jersey, into the ground, and now he wants to be president, right? What was the moment he said he had? I don't think so. I think we take Kirk Douglas in his prime. Do we agree?
Yes.
So that is by Donald Trump making cracks and jokes right off the cuff. Folks, listening to him speak off the cuff is phenomenal. Guys, share the show with your friends and your family. Everywhere you see this show, share, like it. Tell everybody about Smyth Radio.
And if you like what we do, make sure you help us out by donating to our cause at patreon.com/Smyth Radio. That's SMYTHRADIO. We'd love to have you, and join us in our Telegram group. Yes. See you there.
Yeah, Telegram. Right.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathom.